excited too. How's everybody doing out there in Internet land? Welcome to Penguin Live. My name is Patrick Redford. I'm filling in with Dan Harlan. He's down sick, and I do have to admit something. When I heard Eugene Berger was going to be here, I did my best to conjure up the best curse that I could and put Dan Harlan into sickbed. So I apologize. It's my fault, and I hit it a little too hard. It hit Eugene a little bit tonight, too. Sorry, Eugene. But in honor of our special guest, I thought I'd start with a small passage from one of my favorite authors, Neil Gaiman, called Nicholas Was, since it's festive still. Nicholas was older than sin, and his beard could grow no whiter. He wanted to die. The dwarfish natives of the Arctic cavern did not speak his language, but conversed in their own twittering tongue, conducted incomprehensible rituals when they were not actually working in the factories. Once every year they forced him sobbing and protesting into endless night. During the journey, he would stand near every child in the world, leave one of the dwarves' invisible gifts by its bedside. The children slept frozen into time. He envied Prometheus and Loki, Sisyphus and Judas. His punishment was much harsher. Ho, ho, ho. I present you Eugene Berger.
Well, ho, ho, ho. It's a real pleasure to be here with all of you. And I'm going to teach you some fabulous magic, but hopefully we're going to have a chance to talk about performing magic, because my goal is to make you a better magician, not just to teach you tricks, but to teach you how to perform them in ways that will create the impact that you want. That's my goal. So rather than, well, let me just indulge me for 1 minute. I'm here with my friends Jacob and Ty, and they've agreed to help me. But indulge me for 1 minute, because I want to say hello to a few people who I know are watching. First of all, to Dan. Dan, we're sorry that you're not here. Happy that Patrick's able to fill in for you, but sorry that you're not here. But also in Chicago, I've got some great friends who are tuning in. Danny and Jan Rollins, Robert Charles, Mike Burke, Gordon Meyer, Bruno Berrettini. And, Bruno's been taking magic lessons from me since he was 16, and he's in his mid-20s now. So if he were here, he could probably do these tricks better than I'm doing them, because that's the goal. The goal of the teacher is to produce students who are better than the teacher. And if that's not the goal, I don't want them studying with me. I want people to surpass me, not to imitate me. But saying that, let's turn to some magic. And we'll get back to that stuff later. So, Ty, do you play cards?
Some.
Bummer. I hate it when they play cards. I will deal the cards one at a time onto the table. And when you have the psychic feeling, which I will not presume to define for you, tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Now, the first thing we need to do is remove the joker from the deck. And so you have. I did that because I can. So I will continue dealing, and when you have the feeling, tell me to stop.
Stop.
Take the card, look at it, show it to everyone. Which is the camera that's on, by the way? Tell me. Okay, good. Because we can talk to the camera guys. This isn't like at the library or church service, So if I took Ty's card and put it on top of the deck, you would know exactly where it is. And if I put it on the bottom of the deck, you'd know. But Ty, when I cut those cards, it's somewhere in the middle. But the spirits know. Do you believe in spirits?
Generally, no.
Good, I like to do this with agnostics. Spirits, show Ty his card now. He is a doubter. I have to tell him. Tell them to go back.
Go back.
With your right hand, take the card. With your left hand, take the entire deck. And at these prices, it's always the right card. Well, this is Al Baker's Pack That Cuts Itself. I was 16 years old, and my dad had gotten me on the Don Allen show on television, the first show, which has no copies anywhere. Good. I was one of the junior magicians. And after that, we would go and visit Don Allen, my parents and I, on Fridays. And he would teach me amazing things. And one day, he did this trick for me. Now, I had purchased the other version at home, the version that was put out by Louis Tannen in 1933, and also Max. Now, when I say Max from now on, assume it's Max Maven. Max said there was another guy named Justin Brown who might have had some input into this, but I've never heard of Justin Brown, frankly. I also read once that the mechanical version with the thread through the deck was invented by Fawcett Ross, but Max couldn't verify that, and I couldn't find the reference. But the original trick, the pack that cuts itself, was Al Baker. And then they put out a version that was much more available to more magicians. So let's start from the beginning, which is the card force. That part of it I've only done for a few years now. Okay, when I open a deck of cards, I do a lot more things than you do. First of all, I cut both of my red jacks with a scissors just through the white border, that's all. And they're both slit because if I'm doing a corporate party, this card might be taken and folded or something. And then I won't have a card, so I do both jacks. I also mark my ace of spades, so I can do Bob Neal's trick, Soul Survivor, and I mark both of my jokers, so I can do this card force. And the way I do that, if you come very close on this card, you will see that right here I have just taken a razor blade and whitened half of that circle, because on this card, as you'll see, there is no white. And that's a pretty big mark so that I can see it from quite a distance. And I've marked both sides of both jokers. Okay, the jokers are going to go in positions 8 and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And let's leave them face up so you can see how deceptive and seductive this is. 8 and 10. On the bottom of the deck, I have one of my jokers, and what I like about this trick is that the thread I use, I buy at Walgreens. It's heavy thread. It's not thin. It's not going to break. Well, it will break. If I don't pay attention to this thread going in and out of that channel, it'll get weaker and weaker. And I have had, and the thread broke. So now I always check my thread more, because sometimes you learn, you know. Okay, this is going to go through here, so that the tail, we're going to call that the tail, the little leftover part, is on the back of the card. And this now goes on the bottom of the deck, and the other end of the thread is right here on this button. And so this deck can go right in my pocket, and there it is. Now, how long should the thread be? Well, that's a question I'm often asked. It should just be long enough so I don't look like those guys with their bird cages, you know. By the way, I'm prepared for this lecture. I woke up yesterday and I couldn't speak for the first hour and a half. And it was very freaky. Okay. So, see? So now if I come out here, I'm connected. But I can do things so that you don't even suspect, hopefully, that I'm connected to this deck. Now let's look at different ways of doing it. Don did it a different way. He used the slit, but he did the version Clayton Rawson, where the end of the thread was not attached to a button, but was rather a scotch tape to the pack. So now he could take the box and put it in his pocket, and now the thread was out. See? So that was another way of doing it. I rather like the button. And let me show you one other thing, and that is, I'm going to stand up here. If I'm doing this without a vest, then the thread is attached to this belt loop right here. And if I can find it, there it is. So that's my other thread. And again, this is thread I buy at Walgreens, so it's not going to break. Okay. So my thread is ready. This is here. If I'm attached via my belt loop, then the deck will be in my left trouser pocket. And again, I can get this thing out without looking, hopefully, like that. So this comes out. I ask him a question. And here's what I'm going to do. I did this at the Magic Castle one year, 39 shows. I hit this force 32 times. You won't hit it every time, but that's okay, because one of the rules is an audience only knows what they see. They don't know what they don't see. And so if he misses the force, that's his sadness. Too bad for him. He missed a great trick. So I don't show any disappointment if he misses it. It's okay. So, but pretend you're sitting in this chair. Look how deceptive and seductive this force is. So, Ty, I'm going to deal the cards one at a time, face down on the table. And in a moment, you will say stop, but I would not presume to define this all for you, so I'm just say stop.
Stop.
Done, or I've got 5 chances to hit this. And invariably, for the most part, most of the time I do. When I'm doing a corporate party, no, I don't set up the jokers every time I do it. I just go straight for the trick. Now, we'll say that's the card. Right now, the thread is between my second and third finger. And now we're going to do straight Al Baker. If I took this card and put it on top of the deck, you would know where it is. If I put it on the bottom, and now I open up so that the card can actually go there, you would know where it is. But if I cut the cards, now, here, I'm going to cut more than half of the cards to my left. Why more than half? So that they clear my knuckles. Because I'm going to do it on the back of my hand. Why am I doing it on the back of my hand? Because this is a really uncomfortable position for me. And rather than fight it and look so uncomfortable, I just learned to do it this way. Now, it's harder to do on the back of your hand. But at the same time, it looks like you can't do sleight of hand with it. It looks like the deck isn't, something you can manipulate. All right, so now the card is on the bottom of the deck, the thread is on my left, and now I cut more than half of those cards to my left. And so now the thread is wrapped around the card. Okay. It will now go between the same 2 fingers, but now my hand is back up. Okay? Okay, so. I have 2 choices now. I can move my hand forward or my body backward. Obviously, I want to do the latter, because the picture I want to create in the minds of people is, my God, his hand isn't moving, but those cards are. So I don't want my hand moving. I'm going to use my body to move, right? So I say, now, I just have to do this. If I want to do this for a bigger room, there are ways. All right. Spirits, show us the card. Now I turn. Why? 2 reasons. 1, to get the thread taut again, and 2nd, to give everybody a different view of this thing. Tell them to go back.
Go back.
With your right hand, take the deck. It's out now. Okay. And with your left hand, take the whole deck. And at these prices, it's always the right card. So what happened there again is, this kind of makes it kind of bigger, doesn't it? Because you can see this moving from far away, whereas this might not be as easy. So I learned to do it this way too, and this idea really was Tony Andruzzi's. He had it in, not the Necronomicon, but the Scroll maybe, one of his bizarre books. Whoa. It's like poltergeist activity. Wow. Sometimes I get scared too. So that's Al Baker's Pack That Cuts Itself. It has become my standard opening. This is my opening trick now. For the first 10 years of being a professional magician, something I started in 1978, my first opening trick was sponge balls. But you know, it's hard to retain your dignity holding a sponge ball. That's the problem, dignity. So I stopped doing it. I called Max up and said, Max, I've dumped the sponge balls. And he said, congratulations. And now that following Saturday, I have a party on one of the ships in Lake Michigan. And I get on the ship, and the guy that hired me says, and you brought those little yellow balls, right? And I said, no. He said, oh, that was my favorite trick. It's like the universe gangs up on you sometimes. So now when I go to do a party, I very often bring them. I never do it as my opening trick. Never, never, never. But if you're with the right group, dear Lord, you can get people screaming with this trick. Because my routine, if you don't know it, the audience member ends up with 22 one-inch balls in his hand, or her hand. I was doing this once at Biggs, a very upscale restaurant in Chicago, where I worked for a long time, and I was doing it for two women, very well dressed in their 40s. And we get to the point where she's got the 22 balls in her hand, and I say to her, and how many do you think you have? I said, how many do you think you really have? And she said, not enough. And I said, you're scaring me. She was. But yeah, so, just that thing about asking questions you don't want answered. Yes. So this became my opening trick. This in the shot glass production out of the paper bag. Why? Because when those cards start moving, I get a different quality of attention. When those cards start moving, I get a different quality of attention. It's not the same as doing the ambitious card as an opener, which I think is an awful idea. But so many people do it, I won't go into it for you now. But this is a great opening trick. When those cards start moving, I'm not their jerk uncle who does card tricks. I'm somebody else. And the fact that they can take the deck off my hand. See, Don had to give me the deck because he had a knot at the end of his thread. And that's what I had. And then I went to the castle the first time, and Vernon took me aside and said, you have to get rid of that knot. And I said, yeah, I read that in your book, but I don't know. I mean, doesn't the thread come out of the channel? He said, no, get rid of the knot right now. So we took the knot off, and I did it. And I said, oh, wow. Because see what Don had to do, because there was a knot in the thread, he had to pick up the deck, turn it, and hand it to me. And what I'm doing is, and take the deck, where I'm not doing anything. So I kind of like that. But the opening trick of the show, now when I use the word audience, I could be talking about one person or 500 people. The largest audience I've ever had is 2,000 people in Puerto Rico. But typically my audiences are 100 people, 50 people, 10 people, 2 people, 1 person, But this is a great opening trick. It changes the space, it changes people's perception of what the magician's about to do, and it gives you a quality of attention that you simply won't get with a lot of other magic tricks. So this is my opening trick. Now, if you guys have questions, that's cool. Do you have a question about this? Or
There's a question. From
What's the question?
Cyberspace.
Okay,
Somebody's
good.
asking about the thread against the white border of the card and why no one notices it.
Because it's covered at all times. It's not, I mean, look, good question. Now, there's a sentence I'm going to be saying a lot tonight, so I might as well say it for the first time right now. Every miracle has its price. That's a real rule of magic that's important to understand. Every miracle has its price. And the price here is, look, if you came to my apartment in Chicago and went to my closet, you would discover that every pair of pants I have is black. Because I want to do this trick all the time. And that's the price. If I'm at a party and it's white carpeting, I can't do the trick. Because the thread will show as they look down on it. Because this is designed to be performed standing up for audiences who are standing up at a cocktail party. But, you know, this is a great opening trick. And you have to think a lot about what is your opening trick? And what does it say about your magic and what's coming up? And what does it say about a lot of things? So, one more time, take out a card. And this is how I would do it at a party where the first time it would be set up, but then I would go set up the jokers all the time. If I took your card, which I just did, put it on top of the deck, you would know where it is. If I put it on the bottom, you know. But when I cut those cards, it's somewhere in the center. But the spirits know. Now, you don't have to go into spirits here. Notice all I do is say the word. I don't go anywhere with it. But, you know, that's kind of, it could be my train deck. It's Joseph, my train deck. Joseph, show us the card. Look, he's doing it. Tell them to go back. Go back. With your right hand, take the card. With your left hand, take the deck. And that's the pack that cuts itself. So you had a question, Patrick, from someone at home.
Yes, where were we with the questions? We were still stuck on a couple things. First, the thread was what we were talking about before we left,
Okay.
on why it's not visible against the white border, and exactly where is it positioned on the deck?
Well, the thread is right in the center of the card in this little channel I've cut with the scissors through the white border. And there's maybe an inch or so over. And
the note card underneath.
I'm sorry.
Put the note card underneath, covering up the blue.
The suggestion is just to get a note card underneath.
Or me like this.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, that's right.
So they can see where it is at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah, got it? Good. Good. So, as I was saying during the break, Walgreens sells two kinds of thread. One is for buttonholes and carpets, which is a thick black thread, and the other is just regular black thread. And that's what I buy, regular black thread at Walgreens. The idea is to keep it hidden and to learn. I can do this trick with people all around me. And that sounds impossible, but it isn't. In the same way, I do the shot glass production out of the paper bag and people all around me. It's a matter of using your body to shield things and being conscious of lines. You know, Tamara's talks about lines, threads. Well, threads not only to people, but threads to the object I'm showing you. See? So, are there more questions on this one?
There is, particularly about the force.
Well, the force you have to work out. Look, you put the cards 8 and 10, and you just do it to a bunch of people and see if you can get a rhythm going. My rhythm is really this. I'm going to deal the cards one at a time onto the table. And in a moment when you have the psychic feeling to say stop, and I would not presume to define it for you. Say stop whenever you like.
Stop.
And then, where am I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I don't have the jokers in the deck, so. So you know, this is the kind of thing that you learn it by doing it. You don't learn it in advance.
That's right.
And that's an important thing because there are lots of things. I mean, cooking is the same way. You learn it by doing it, not by just reading the book about it. So, you know, you have to play with that force. Maybe for you, the cards, it would be better for the cards in position 7 and 9, see? And not 8 and 10. Maybe 10 and 11. I mean, you know, you go a little faster. But you have to kind of just work this and see what happens. It's not something that you can decide in advance, really. And it's not something that you can learn in advance. You have to learn it by doing it.
And I have to say that this is a wonderful way to practice because if you do miss it, nobody knows but you.
Right, no one knows that you
This
missed
is a
it.
wonderful,
Absolutely.
wonderful way to learn that.
So there's no issue. Right, good point. So that is Al Baker. I have to tell you a couple things right now. First of all, I don't presume that my approach to magic is the only one or the best one. It might be the best one for me, but it might not be the best one for you. And you know, we're all different and we're all the same. So you have to just take what you take and ignore what you ignore and don't worry about it. Personally, I am not a very inventive magician. My gifts are not inventing magic tricks. When I go and stay with Max, you know, I sleep on the couch and he'll wake up and he'll come out into the living room and he says, "Oh, last night after you went to sleep, I invented 3 card tricks. Do you want to see them?" And I would usually say, "Yes, could we have coffee too?" And he'll show me these 3 great card tricks he invented. I don't do that. I mean, that's not my gift. I think my gift is I know what looks like magic and what looks like nonsense. And I try to keep nonsense out of my show. I try to keep everything looking like magic. So the tricks that I do, and every trick I'm going to show you tonight is a trick I perform for real people for money. These are not tricks I make up for magic lectures. These are tricks out of my repertoire, and some of them I've been doing since 1978. So I know a lot about them now. You know, when you do a trick, you learn something about it. And when you do it 10 times, you learn more. And when you do it 100 times, you learn more. And when you do it 1,000 times, which as a professional magician, that is a gift that is given to me. The gift of being able to perform something 1,000 times. Most amateur magicians don't get that gift. And that's why it's easier being a professional magician than an amateur, frankly. Because I get to change audiences and not tricks. My repertoire is 33 tricks. And if I could get down to 20, I could be a star. I'm working on it, folks. I'm working on it. Okay, I like magic that is simple to follow. I think a good magic trick is a trick that tomorrow morning the audience member can tell their neighbor what happened. I signed my name on this playing card and I put it in the deck and I shuffled that card. He had an empty hand. He reached in his pocket, took out a wallet, and my signed card was in that wallet. That's a good trick because a layperson can describe it. But when you look at some of the tricks that we read in these magic magazines, yikes. Oh, golly, I won't go there. I am tempted. Secondly, I think that magic tricks should be deceptive. You know, I remember years ago I was at Magic Inc. And this kid walks up to me, he says, "Are you a magician?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm an entertainer." I thought, you know, you're a jerk. Because no, magic is about deception. That's the first step. If the trick isn't deceptive, we have failed. That's what it is to be a magician. Come on. So I want it to be deceptive, I want it to have impact, and I want it to look like magic. That's what I want. Now, I believe, contrary to many people, that there is fabulous magic at every skill level. And the challenge is to find it. And you know, that's one of the reasons I think people come to the magic school in Las Vegas. Because they know that we know that we know good magic at every skill level. And that's what we teach our students. So I think that, there's great magic at every skill level. And the biggest problem in magic in terms of exposure isn't things like the masked magician and that nonsense. There's more magic exposed in the close-up room at the Magic Castle than on television. Come on. The biggest problem is inept performers who are performing beyond their skill level. No, if you can stay within your skill level, you can be a star. And if you go beyond it, you can be a failure. And there's great magic at every skill level, and that's what I want to keep stressing, because because there is this view that a good card trick isn't good unless it's really a knuckle buster. Where did that nasty, awful idea come from? And what a terrible idea it is for all of us. So, I think it's time for another magic trick. Less sermon. In the late 1990s, Gordon Bean and Larry Jennings put out a trick called Limited Edition, and Gordon gave it to me, and I liked it. I don't even remember what the original trick is. All I remember is what I did to it, and that's what I'm going to show you now. And I'll talk about it. First, I'll do it, then we'll talk about it. There's a rule in magic that says a magician should never tell the audience in advance what he or she is going to do. Because if you tell the audience in advance, they're going to look much more carefully. I'm going to break that rule. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you 6 cards, my friend. And I want you to think of one of them. Okay. You will not touch it. You will only think of it. And then I will find your card without asking you a single question. And once I have found it and put it on your hand, I will make it disappear without touching it. That's what I'm going to do.
Nice.
Years ago, I was having coffee with John Kennedy. And he says to me, let me tell you about a trick I'm working on. I take out a book of matches, I take out a pack of cigarettes, and the cigarette rises and floats in the air to my mouth. And then I take out a book of matches, and the match comes out of the box and lights itself and floats up to lights the cigarette. And after that, I'm thinking, John, are you on drugs or what's going on here? 6 months later, he did it at the Desert Seminar and sold it. And it was like amazing. So, even though it sounds pretty good, yeah. Now, I'm not going to give you a long time to look at these cards. And by the way, I won't look at your eyes. Because I know you were probably thinking, yeah, he's just going to watch his eyes. Think of a card. Got one?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Think of your card. Hold your hand out. Is your card there?
No.
See? I love this pose. I don't know why. It's gone. Done. So that was my take on Gordon and Larry's limited edition. What I liked about the trick was the premise that I put to it, the idea of breaking the rules. I think this notion of breaking the rules is a real interesting notion, and it's kind of fun, and it's edgy, and it's all that stuff. So here's the game. I cut this out of one of the cards that comes with the set. gives you a bunch of cards, and there's new routines with it too, so this is a good trick to buy, actually. And now I'm going to take some wax and show you what I'm going to do so that you know. This is Michael Amar's magic wax that he uses for the card on the ceiling, and I use it for lots of stuff. I'm going to take a tiny bit. Can you get a little bit closer with this one? Just a tiny bit, like half a pinhead, and I'm just going to put it right here in the corner and smear it. And then over here, and then down here. So now I've got 3 edges hit, and this goes up here, and this is now in place, okay? All right, that's the last card in the setup, and the rest of these cards are all double enders, and that's how the card disappears. So this is my last card, the 5, and my 7 of clubs is my front card, so that I know that when I re-show the cards, the 8 of clubs has to be up, because the 7 of was up when we started. And when I spread these cards, I have to do a couple things. One, I have to cover that 8, right? Done. And I have to just kind of not let that 5 stick out too much and show us what it is. So there it is. And now I say to him, and I'm not even going to look at your eyes. Think of a card. Have you got one? Yes. Okay. And now I put the cards down. Because sometimes putting the cards down is a good move. It's very disarming for people when you stop playing with the cards. That's why, you know, when a card is returned to the deck, in my way of thinking, the first thing I want to do is put that deck down on the table and not try to get the card to the top right away. No. Oh. So now, when I pick this up, now the 8 is up. And so I kind of, and this is what I'm looking at now. And I just rearrange the card so this is at the front, right? And all I have to do, since that end has not been there, is just that. Just kind of get that in between. And now this goes into my hand. And of course, I just dropped it in my lap at one point during this. And now I go back here and I give Jacob the blank card without the little fake corner. I make sure my 8 of clubs is up, because the 7 of clubs was up before. And I say to him, is your card there? And of course he says no, and I just kind of, well, of course it's not there. I said I was going to do this. And then I say, now, this was a trick I did a lot when I worked behind the bar at the restaurants. See, when I worked at restaurants, I always did the first half hour behind the bar. Behind the bar is a power position. Not everyone can go behind the bar, and the fact that I can means I am officially here. So I always did my first half hour behind the bar. And this was a great bar trick, because what I would do now, I would, to Jacob, I would say, and it's gone. And now I would walk away and get myself a Diet Coke or something, you know, and let him figure it out. And now he would turn it over, and I would, whoa. And then I'd come back and maybe do another routine. So this was a great trick to do back in the days when I worked restaurants. But alas, I have not worked restaurants probably in 12 years because I travel so much. And you know, to work a restaurant, you have to be there. Because, I mean, look, let's say, that's why when I worked the restaurants, I would turn down $1,000 jobs to make $250. Why? Well, because it's, you know, there's work and there's career. And career means that you're a responsible soul. Let's imagine that you were coming in, Ty, to hire me for a party. And you come into the restaurant, well, where's Eugene? Oh, he's not here today, he's working a party. Well, where's your confidence in hiring me going to be? Am I going to stiff you and take a job that gives me more money? I have to show people that it's not all about money. It's about being present. And so when I was scheduled to be at work, I was at work. And my last year of doing Restaurant Magic, I did 5 trips to Europe without missing a Wednesday at the restaurant. Thank you. And then at the end of that, I said, Eugene, I think there's something you need to think about here. Like, what are you doing? Why don't you stay in Europe longer? Well, so that was good, you know, and then I stayed in Europe longer, and but I had to stop doing restaurants. Okay. Well, would you like to play a little game with me?
Of course.
Do you have any money?
I have a child. And a wife.
Well, do you have a wallet? Notice I didn't take yes for an answer.
What do you like?
Do you have a 20?
I do.
That's the spirit. I do too. Okay. Here's the game, my friend. It's kind of fun. I'm going to give you the deck, and you're going to deal cards face down on the table until you feel like stopping. And then you stop, you take your bill and fold it, and you put it right there and mark the place where you stopped. Go. Deal as many or as few cards as you like. Stop whenever you choose. Great. Do you want to play too?
Sure.
Do you have money?
Other 20?
Sure.
I've got one now.
I'll loan you one.
Okay.
There. And actually, this really requires 3 people, so you're going to play again. All right. So take the deck, start dealing cards face down on the table, stop whenever you like, and mark the place. Pass the deck over to Ty.
And again?
Sure. Just give me a chance to blow my nose.
It's all presentation.
Now, folks, the question is, do you feel lucky tonight?
Yeah, he just paid $20.
Well, let's find out. Let's find out how lucky you are. See, the nice thing about this game, everybody wins.
Nice.
Are these 3 mine? This, of course, is Alan Ackerman's Gemini twins that Dean Dill turned into Gemini money and made it a much better trick. The only thing I've added to this really is an attitude. Because when I used to do this at corporate cocktail parties, I haven't done this in a long time at parties because, you know, parties are different now. Sometimes there are no tables in these hotel parties. Not just no ashtrays, no tables. So this is a trick I don't get to do very often. But what I like, I also used to do it a lot behind the bar because what I would try to do here was to kind of get guys a little bit, what's going on here? Am I going to lose $20? I thought this was a magic show. And I want to get them to that doubt, you know, what's going on here with this? And then we have a happy ending that resolves everything. But I want to get them to start thinking, am I going to lose my $20? Yes. So here's the game. The aces are in positions top, 6, 7, and bottom. Top, 6, 7, and bottom. Top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and bottom. And that's what we got. And that's the setup. Now there's one little thing here in this, as I do it. Jacob can't know that he's going to play at the beginning because I'm going to do the one little goofy thing I have to do, as you'll see, right when he's looking for his money. And that's where all the attention will be. So I take the deck and I deal 5 cards and stop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I put my dollar down and the bottom ace is now on top of my dollar. And where are we? We now have 2 aces on top and 1 at the very bottom down here. So I now give the deck to Ty. He deals any number of cards. It really doesn't matter, and puts it there. And now we're here. And now I look at Jacob and say, would you like to play too? And what about you? Well, you guys take out your 20s. And as they're doing that, I come over here and pick up the deck. And oh, I left one card. And just misplace it on top, that ace. But again, that's why we must not know that Jacob is going to play or the other guy. Because this happens while he's looking for money. And we're done now. So, deal, 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 deal. Hey, next, deal, 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 deal. Next, and of course now the last person can hand the deck directly to the fourth person, which is what fooled a lot of you in the room, because it fooled me too. And now we spread, and we simply take the card above each bill, right?
I'm taking this.
And then ba-dump, 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 and then my punchline is, the nice thing about this game is that everybody wins. So, there you are.
There's a question from cyberspace.
Sure.
This is from Bobby Warren. He says that the reveal happens with the aces before the cards are turned over. Why did you choose to announce the reveal ahead of time rather than just showing it? I don't think you did, though.
I didn't think I did either. Maybe I did.
I just asked the question.
Yeah.
I'm a mere servant of the cyberspace.
That's very beautiful.
Take that as you wish.
Well, no, if you don't want to do that, don't do it. I didn't realize I did that. I thought what I did was, the nice thing about this game is that everybody wins, and the wins was the turnover.
It's a nice punch on the end,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the end of the sentence.
Yeah, every magic trick deserves a good opening line and a good closing line. They deserve that. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to show you one other trick that I used to do a lot at the bar. When on one of Max's trips to Japan, he brought back a little car that Fukai had found. Fukai was in Europe, and there was this company in Germany that was discontinuing this little car. And they had two versions. One was a little ambulance about this big, and it had lights that lit, and it was great. The other was a police car. I liked the police car because I would do this line about, they're not looking for coffee and donuts. They're looking for your card, which is kind of funny in Chicago. Anyway, but that's another story. Take your card. Look at it. Show it to everyone. Put it back. Now, let's be honest. You might think that I have no idea where your card is, and that's completely false. I don't know exactly where your card is, but I have a pretty good estimation, as Ed Marlowe would say. Or was that somebody else? Well, if I cut the deck right there, my friend, this might not be your card, but it's this one, this one, this one, this one, or this one. And it's just one of them. And I'm not sure which one it is, but that's okay, because when you're in doubt, the best thing to do is to turn to the men of science. Find the card. What was your card?
A color joker.
Always trust the men of science. One of my part of my philosophy is that a good magic show has texture. It's not all the same. And this is called texture, folks. This isn't a deep mystery, but it's a lot of fun. And it's a lot of fun to do at a bar, because if I do it for you guys and it finds the fourth card, and now I immediately do it for Anthony, and you're watching still, and it goes to the third card, because that can happen here, as you're going to see. It doesn't always go to the same card. And so it's a perfect bar trick, because bar people watch the show that they get, and then they watch the show again that they're doing. So, okay, what I discovered, and this is hardly a big discovery, that these things are pretty constant. So all I did was make a black mark on this winder. Now look, if I give this 3 complete winds, it's going to go to the fourth card. Is that a kick or what? So what you need is a wind-up toy that pretty much walks in a straight line, because some of them go in circles. And I discovered with this one, and they're all different, so you have to kind of just buy a wind-up toy and play with it, which is fun, of course. I mean, I'm not knocking that, God knows. So 1 wind, 2. Now let's see where we'll walk now. See, on 2 winds, it should go to this card and stop, and it does. Nice. And on 3 winds, it'll go to that card. Now, when I wind it, I put my fingers on the feet so it can't start unwinding right away, see? 1 wind, 2 winds, and now around again, almost 3, and that should get me to the fourth card. And so it does. So that's the little robot trick. And again, this was an example of, to make my show have texture. So it was goofy and funny and serious and not serious and just a lot. I learned more about doing a magic show going to a Dolly Parton concert than reading every Daryl Fitzke book, basically, which put me to sleep, particularly The Trick Brain. I almost killed myself with that falling on my head while I'm passing out.
Did you ever finish it?
No, are you kidding? It's
Neither
an
did
awful book. I'm not big on topologies. There's a lot of ways of cutting pies, and that's the bottom line. This is a goofy little trick. But again, understand that at the bar, when it goes to the fourth card for you guys and immediately goes to the third card for these guys, now it's kind of raised a little bit in the magic element. What's going on here, see? And this is like, I think you can buy these on Amazon for like 5 for a couple bucks. It's not like buying an $80 magic card from a dealer, that's goofy. This is goofy enough, I think. So anyway, this is the little robot. Are there questions about the robot?
No questions.
And if you guys have questions, jump in, please.
Was the Joker the force?
No, there was no force. Oh, I'm very good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are very good. What I did was I crimped the bottom card. I'm holding the deck in a mechanic's grip. My finger contacts the bottom right-hand corner and just pulls down a bit. Not enough to crack it, enough, and now you revolve the deck so that the break is toward me. And now, as you say, you take a card, and you took another Joker. I love it.
No.
Oh, my eyes are falling. Anyway, and now your card is now going right below the crimp. And what I like about this is that the first thing I can do is put the cards down. That's why crimps are so much better than sticking your finger in the deck, So now I'm done. All I have to do is give the deck, let the deck cut itself at the crimp, and now that's the card. So I take 5 cards and just kind of place this in 4th position. Yes, I'm talking. And then the robot finds it. So, yeah, wind-up toys are fun. I was saying a minute ago that every good magic trick deserves a good opening line and a good closing line. And what I'm going to show you now has both. This was a trick that was in Eugene magazine back in 2000, May of 2000, by a Japanese magician named Tomoyuki Takahashi. And I read it, turned the page, kept reading. And then about 3 years later, Larry Haas was writing transformations, and he sent me the manuscript to read, and this trick was in it. And I went, oh my gosh, this is fabulous. And I didn't even see it when I read it. What was going on? Well, I was just reading words. No, when you read a magic book, you have to use your imagination. And I wasn't using my imagination, and so I just missed this fabulous trick, which I will now tell you is the best coin trick I have learned in 15 years. I can do it in any country on earth with any coins. It's got a perfect opening line that will grab your attention. It's got a wonderful closing line. It's a really short script, and we're going to talk about scripts a little bit later. Put that on your agenda.
It's already there.
Jacob, this is about that strange line between imagination and reality. So I want you to imagine that there is a coin right here. Okay. It's a US quarter. Can you imagine it?
I sure can.
Over here is a second coin. It's a dime. And here is a nickel. So we have a dime, a quarter, and a nickel. 3 coins that exist only in our imagination. In a moment, you're going to pick one up. But I want you to understand the coin you pick up is the coin you use. You will not be given a chance to change your mind. And so that no one in this room is confused when you pick up the dime, the quarter, or the nickel, tell us in a nice loud voice what coin you're picking up. Jacob, pick up a coin now.
Let's do the nickel.
The nickel. You've got the nickel. You can imagine it.
I can.
Put it on the palm of my hand. That was imagination. That's reality. The best coin trick I have learned in 15 years, thank you, that I would not have even known about if Larry Haas hadn't written that book. So, Tomoyuki Takahashi. Why should we know his name? See, a lot of people would say, well, he's the inventor, and he should be given credit. And that's all true, but I think there's a better reason. He has given us a beautiful gift. And if you gave someone a beautiful gift, wouldn't you want them to know your name? Really? That's the reason I know his name. Not because he invented this, but that he has given me this fabulous gift. So, I start out with 2 coins finger palmed. In my left hand, I have the nickel in a Ramsey clip, which means it is put against this little part of the finger right here, and then the fingers come back and hold it in place. And what's nice about a Ramsey grip is that I can do things like do my glasses, and you can see my empty hand, apparently, see? And this has got the dime. So I've got the nickel and the dime, okay? Now, this is a very simple script, and I believe in scripts, deeply believe in it. I think the magicians that talk against script writing are the ones who are saying things like, do me a favor, and what I'm going to do now is, what I want you to do now is, and all this awful verbiage that just shows how unprepared we are. See, when you have a script, you don't say that nonsense. I saw a major mentalist do a lecture at Mindvention. He did, do me a favor, and 29 times. Well, that's when I stopped counting. And he's an advocate of no scripts. Well, I'm not. So, this is a very short script, and it's very simple. And if you're watching this at home or you're going to get a copy of this, just memorize it. It's not complicated. So, Jacob, this is about that strange line between imagination and reality. So I want you to imagine there is a coin here. It's a quarter. Can you imagine it?
Yes.
Over here there is a dime, and over here is a nickel. A dime, a quarter, and a nickel, 3 coins that exist only in our imagination. In a moment, you're going to pick one up. But I want you to understand, the coin you pick up is the coin you use. You will not be given a chance to change your mind. And so that no one in the room is confused when you pick up the dime, the quarter, and the nickel, tell us in a nice loud voice what coin you're picking up. Cut. That line is for me. Even though I have made this pretty damn clear, the number of people that go there, So I want him to tell me what he's doing just so I know. But, of course, I don't want to say it that way too crass, but I want you all to understand. So now, what I'm going to do at this point is get both of my hands ready to drop a coin. And I'll tell you, dropping something in your lap that no one even suspects you have is not rocket science. It's not as difficult as dropping something in your lap that everyone suspects is in your hand. So I come to this position where my hands are ready to drop, and I lean in and say, pick up a coin now. And you pick up the dime, I drop the nickel. And now 2 things can happen. It depends on how I'm performing. If I am performing this with people standing behind me, and when I perform, I never move people. My job as a professional is to learn to perform wherever they stand, not to move them around, absolutely not. So if they're going to be behind me, I can't do what I just did to Jacob. What I did to him was this. I'm coming up here. Now you can see it, and now so I would change this if you were really there. But for Jacob, his eye is missing the coin and seeing only my empty palm. See? This is a great thing for him. But let's say that I'm going to do this with you now. You're you sitting here with him. I'm going to say to Jacob, do you have it? Put it back on the table. I will pick it up. And that's what I do if I have bad angles. And now I go into this thing, because that's important. This is where they wonder, what on earth is going on here? That's what I'm looking for. And I get very serious, and now I have a great line. That was imagination. That's reality. Mm-hmm. So I will now read your minds. What about the quarter? Well, let's find out. This time, pick up the quarter. Not yet.
He's got to go through the script.
Of course. Thank you. Jacob, but I want you to understand. I'm doing this to be funny, yes, but I'm also doing this because scripting really gives us more power. Years and years ago, I was giving a talk at the Magic Castle, and I thought, let's talk about timing. And so I start my little talk on timing, and I get about 10 minutes into it, and a little light goes on in my head that says, Eugene, you are an idiot. These people have nothing to time. So I taught 5 card tricks, everybody was happy, and we went home. But no, if you don't have a sentence, we can't ask any questions. But if you give me a sentence, we can ask fabulous questions. Is there a pause in the sentence? Where is the pause? How long is it? What is your face doing during the pause? Are you being serious, funny, smiling? What's going on here? These are fabulous questions that make a simple trick into an experience for people. And if you don't have something to time, there's no way you can ask those questions, because you don't have anything to time. And that's why having a simple script can change your magic, and it can change the results and the response your magic brings. And look, let's be really honest at the moment. We are all here for the same reason. We want our magic to have power. That's why you're here. Every one of you in this room. Me too. I want my magic to have power. And one way is to know exactly what I'm going to say. Now, every trick doesn't need a story. There's no story here. This was exposition, wasn't it? And sometimes, you can bring meaning to a trick, not in the trick itself. I've got tricks like the thread trick where I'm telling the story and I'm doing it. But there are other tricks that I do just much more, like I'm working on a die box routine right now. And the premise is I'll tell you the premise. And after I do the premise, I'm going to do a straight die box routine. But the premise the setup is going to give the situation meaning. And the situation goes, I was 8 years old when I saw my first magician. And it wasn't a man, it was a woman. Her name was Marion Tracy, and she and her husband owned Top Hat Magic in Evanston, Illinois. And they turned on probably thousands of kids to the art of magic. Well, Marion would come to our school every year and do a show. And I remember to this day one of the things she did, because I want to do it for you now. Done. That's the setup. And now I do a straight die box routine. But the setup has given this thing some gravitas, So, the quarter. Now, this is my favorite. The only thing that was set up today is I said to Jacob, because I did this trick for Jacob and his girlfriend last night. And I said to him, don't take the quarter, save it for last, because it's a better explanation. So that was the only thing that I set up with these guys at all. So Jacob picked up the nickel or whatever. So this is about that strange line between imagination and reality. So I want you to imagine there's a coin here. It's a quarter. Can you imagine it?
I sure can.
Here's another coin. It's a dime. And here is a nickel. So we have a dime, a quarter, and a nickel, 3 coins that exist only in our imagination. In a moment, you're going to pick one up. But I want you to understand the coin you pick up is the coin you use. You do not have a chance to change your mind. And so that no one here is confused when you pick up the dime, the quarter, or the nickel, tell us all in a nice loud voice what coin you're picking up. Pick up a coin now.
Quarter.
You've got the quarter.
I've got it.
You can imagine it.
I can imagine.
You can imagine holding that quarter.
Yes.
I will pick up the nickel and the dime. Open your hand. That's imagination. This is reality. Best coin trick I've learned in 15 years. I can do this in any country with any coins. Think about it. Now, let's talk about doing it. Well, because I personally, and this is just me, because we all make our own. Let me just kind of get my secret stash of note cards. This is the question that I'm asked a lot is, how do you do it standing up? I personally only do it sitting down, personally. But there are 3 ways you could do this standing up. And I just want to go through them for you very quickly. The first way would be to have what is called a body servant. A body servant would be like a little box that was lined with felt and cotton and fit right behind your belt. So that if your hand came right here, you could drop the coin into it and it wouldn't happen. No one would hear it. I'll tell you, back in the 1990s, I was at Tannen's in New York in the summer. It was very hot. We all had short sleeve shirts on. And I'm talking to this guy at Tannen's, and we're talking for a while, and he says, could I show you something? And I said, please, I'd love to see something. And he took a silver dollar and put it in his hand, and it was gone. And we're both standing up in the middle of the store. I went, what the? And it took me about 20 minutes to say body servant. Because that's what happened. It was just that move. It's just coming there for a second. So that's one way you could do this, see, having a body servant. And if you had to drop a coin, you would just drop one coin. And the other one, of course, you wouldn't drop, or you wouldn't drop any coins if they picked the quarter. Now, I want them to pick the quarter. I have several students who don't agree with me at all on this one. They like the other two coins. I like the quarter for several reasons. First of all, that's why the quarter is the first coin. It's the biggest coin. It's the biggest coin in value, because I really want you to take it. Because I like this moment where he opens his hand and I say, that's imagination. This is reality. That's, I think, a better dramatic theatrical moment. But, you know, everybody has their own choice. Tomoyuki Takahashi, I'm going to get to meet him in April. I'm going to go to Japan again. Oh, cool. And Max said, is there anything you really want to do? And I said, yes, there's one thing I really want to do. I want to meet Tomoyuki Takahashi. And he said, good, he'll be at the convention. Excellent, yes. So that's Fading Coin.
Questions?
Yes, sir.
Prop management. How do you get into this effect from another effect? At what point do you obtain the coins, and from where? One of our users wants to know.
A very good question. I wish
I have a follow-up to that as well.
Yeah. God, I wish I had an answer as good as that question is. I don't have a one way to do it. What did I do today? Well, today these coins were right here.
And by right here, for the folks at home can't see
there's
this
a table right behind Jacob here. And so when I was doing, what was the robot, the robot, I had these coins in my hand at that time. Because what I tend to do is try to get the coins in my hand a trick before I'm going to use them. So that trick before can't be too manipulative, because but I'm a believer, if you want to learn about palming coins, don't read books. Palm a coin and live a life for a day or two and see what happens. And at the end of that day, you'll know more about palming coins than you would by reading books. Mm-hmm. You have to cut your meat, and you have to eat your macaroni, and you have to do all these things, and button your shoe, and and all that stuff with your coin. And you can do it. Yeah, write an essay, sure.
That's all you do back in school.
So
and the follow-up question is about your box that you have sitting on the table that your props keep coming in and out of. They want to get a closer look at it, number one. And I thought this would be a good time. I know that my eyes might fall out if I look too closely. I've been told that by you.
Oh, yes, that's one of my lines. Don't look in the magic box, your eyes will fall out. So I control over these people, I'm telling you. So this is it. This was a gift from Jeff. He got this in Germany, and that's all I know about it. Except that it's really just for theater, because when you look at it, there's not a lot of space in here. This is a lot of sides, so it doesn't hold very much, really. It doesn't hold as much as I'd like it to hold, but this is the kicker, isn't it? Having the key to lock this thing, it's too fabulous. So, yeah.
Is it a fake lock or real lock?
No, it's real. Yeah.
Oh, okay, because I didn't see the mechanism in there.
There it is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It comes out there.
I didn't see the ledge.
The next 20 minutes, all about the box.
And these come from Dollhouse Stores, and there you are. Well, why don't you get the deck of mix here? Back when I was a kid and people were wearing robes, if you would ask magicians, like a group like this, what's the best card trick in the world? Back when I was a kid, the answer would have been out of this world. I remember the first time it was done for me. I was at Dixon Norb's Magic Inn with my dad. I was 16 years old. In those days in Chicago, kids could sit at the bar in taverns with their parents, as long as you didn't order beer. If you ordered a Coke, you could sit at the bar, and there was no issue about it. And so my dad and I would go out every Friday night from 16 to 18. one weekend we go see Don Allen, and the next Friday we go to Dixon Norb's Magic Inn, where there was a wonderful magician named Alex Perez that none of you have heard of. He was a wonderful man and was so helpful and kind to me. Wow. Well, Alex did Out of This World for me. And the hair on the back of my neck stood up. I was like flipped out. And he did the Curry version with a different ending, which we'll talk about. And he was very kind, kinder than I'm going to be, in fact, because he didn't tell me how to do it. He just said, it's called Out of This World. And it was up to me to go to the magic store and find it. Same way with Don Allen. When he did this, you know, he said to me, my mouth dropped open when those cards moved, because, you know, when the cards started to move, I said to myself as a teenager might, I've got one of those at home. But now the deck is really moving farther than mine would move. What's going on here? And now it's going back, and now he hands me the deck. What? And then he said, and of course I can do it with your deck too. Well, the next Friday, we didn't go to Dixon Norb's Magic Inn. We went back to see Don Allen with my deck. And he did it with my deck. And what I think he did, because I never asked him, was I think he stole the Joker and tore it a little bit to get the channel. And then palmed it, and that was that. But when he saw that it just was flipping me out, and he could see it. And he was kind too. What he said was, Al Baker's Pet Secrets. That's all he said. Nothing. And the next day I was at the magic store and buying that book. And it changed my life. So sometimes telling us how it's done isn't the kindest thing in the world. So, did you shuffle the cards? Take out the 4 aces, I'm sorry. Now, the Paul Curry version, I don't know, a lot of people don't even know it anymore. The ending was very contrived. The 4 piles, you had 4 piles, and you put 2 together, and you spread them, and did all this nonsense. What Alex did was what you would really do if you had done this. He just turned the packs over, and they were right. And it flipped me out. And then, later, I discovered the U.F. Grant impromptu version. And this was even better than the Curry version because you didn't need to set the deck up. You started by having this guy shuffle the cards. And you didn't have to do 26 cards. You could do a smaller number. And if you can do a smaller number, let's go for it, see? Because with the Curry thing, you had to be silently counting. And now this chatterbox magician suddenly isn't talking for a while because he's secretly counting to 26. And now he starts talking again. Now, this one you don't count anything. So, some years ago, I was in Amsterdam, one of my favorite cities, and I bought this at what I guess we would call a New Age store. And the guy said that if you hold this stone in your dominant hand, it will increase your powers of intuition. Shall we try it?
Let's.
Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right.
Oops.
Okay.
Okay. Let's get good at this for a minute. I'm going to take out cards, and you're going to guess if they're red or black. I'm going to take out roughly 50% red cards and 50% black cards, but I won't take every other one because that would be too easy. So, red or black?
Red.
And we'll put it on the red card. Red or black?
Red. Black. Red.
Whoops.
Black. 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 Red. Black.
If you say it earlier, I'll just take out the card. Okay, well, here's the deal. I was looking at these cards, of course, and it very well could be the fact that by doing that I was manipulating you, so I'm not going to touch the cards at all. If you think they're red, put them here. If you think they're black, put them here, and roughly 50% go.
Still holding on to
Yeah,
this?
yeah. Well, you can use your other hand or whatever. Stop and sort of tidy them up. And turn them over. See what you got. I sometimes also do it with a ring instead of the stone. See, when I looked at this trick lately, it seemed to me that there's been a lot of work on methods, but not a lot of strategy work on this trick. This was my strategy contribution. Because see, what this does, it disables him. He can't do that to me. Bang, 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 bang. Because he's working with his left hand. And so the purpose of the stone is not only to give this a little framework, but to slow this guy down so that I'm in charge and he can't take control. It's about strategy, see? So, here's the game. Whoops, I should have kept the aces out. Where are they? Ah. There's one. There's another one. Okay, first of all, we take out the aces. There's one. Oh, great. And then he shuffles the cards. And fun. Now, when I look at the cards, see, as I look at these cards now, closer, I would pick red cards this time because there seem to be fewer red cards in the front of the deck. So that's what I'm going to pull. And I'm just going to pull them from different places. Now, as I do this, I put the cards that match on closer to him and the cards that don't match closer to me. So now I'm just going to pick out red cards.
So to be clear, you're stripping out all the red cards, so you're left with just black near the top.
Right. So what I'm left with now is going to be, he's going to end up only able to deal black cards because we're not going to deal all the cards.
Beautiful.
That's too boring. Come on. If you can get this done, this makes the point, you know. Okay. So now I need a reason to change gears and to stop him. And my reason is, well, of course, I've been looking at these cards as I take them out, and it might be that I somehow can control things. Now these are now in reverse positions to these, and so when Ty gets the deck, he's got his dominant hand is now perfectly disabled, so he's going to do this with his left hand. It's got to be slow, and that's why I'm in control of him, and he can't get ahead of me. And so he's going to do this, and you can start. And while he's doing that, I pick up this group of cards and kind of tidy them. And now I pick up this group of cards, and just when I want to stop him, I say, when I think he's got this matching this, which he hasn't yet, so throw a few more cards on it, and I just pick this up, and I'm very careful. And now I do this. I say, just take the cards, pick up these, square them, and put them back in the wrong place. As he puts his cards in the right place. Now, here's the deal. Why is this version so fabulously better than the old version? Because of what happens next. If this guy is bright enough, and if he isn't bright enough, he doesn't get to see this. Screw him. No, he doesn't get to, he has to be bright at this point. You know, it's kind of like when I would do restaurants, I would take 3 gypsy thread setups, and it was only people who were worthy that got to see that routine. And how did you become worthy? by giving me a quality of attention earlier in the evening in my show. And if you were giving me that kind of attention, then we would end with this. And if you didn't, if you were just on giddy all the way through, I stay giddy with you, but you're not going to see that trick. And the same thing here. The intelligent person at this moment wants to see what's going on here. And when he picks it up, what does he see? He sees a mixed deck. This is the mind killer part of it, not this. This is like, whoa, that's amazing. And now we pick this up and wait a minute, these cards are all mixed colors. Wow. So, see, now, would I ever tell someone, check the cards out? No. No, you have to be bright enough to see this. And if you don't see it coming, you just lost it. You know, every miracle has its price. And this one, the price is you have to be bright enough to ask a question or to look at this deck. But I'll tell you, when people look at the undealt cards and see that they are mixed red and black, what has just happened becomes amazingly impossible to explain. So, that's my trip on Out of This World.
Just a couple comments.
And that came out in 1942, Out of This World. Wow.
Just a couple
Yes, sir.
comments from Cyberspace. One, this is from me. The UF Grant version was the first version of Out of This World I learned, and I still think is one of the best versions out there, just for the same impact.
Well, it starts with a shuffle.
A user says, great, having a great time. It's just a couple comments. Somebody else wanted to know, when are you coming to Japan? Will you be lecturing? What cities will you visit, etc.?
I'm going to lecture in Hakone at the Close-Up Convention, and then I'm going to go to Tokyo and play and not do any more talks. Just go play.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
You're taking all of us as well, of course.
Yeah, oh yeah. There'll be a sign-up sheet right by the door.
Perfect. And was there a question out here? Can we get a mic fielded?
What percentage of the people actually look at the deck when you're done?
The question
A high
was, what
percentage.
percentage of the people look at the deck?
A high percentage.
Do they?
Well, because the deck is right there in front of them. They're holding it pretty much. So yeah, it's a high percentage of luck. And that, you know, it's kind of like Cigarette Through Quarter, which used to be my signature piece. Gosh, things changed fast, didn't they? You know, it wasn't the insertion of the cigarette that make people's mouths drops. It's the removal. When you take it out and there behind it is a solid quarter, apparently, that's when people go, what? I had a great moment in this trick. I'll show you what it was. Hold your hand out. I would, I would give the guy the quarter. And first of all, I would switch the quarter, and I would put the gimmick quarter on his hand, and you can't tell it. And now I'd say, cup your fingers a bit, and I would take a lit cigarette and put it like this. And the line was, in a moment, the quarter will become very hot, and you will answer all of my questions truthfully. But now I could go from this funny situation directly into ba-dum-bum-bump, the penetration, right off his hand that he had been holding. And, you know, Cigarette Through Quarter was a killer.
Quite literally.
Literally, yeah. But it's amazing how fast it changes. One doing corporate parties. I remember one year I did a party for Liggett and Myers, and they had cigarette girls like in the old days and giving cigarettes out, and everybody was smoking. There were ashtrays everywhere. They couldn't even have that party anymore in a Chicago hotel. So I don't know what those people do. I guess I'm sure they do something though, huh?
They have picnics now.
I want to show you a very good card trick that we think, that is to say Max thinks, because he and Stephen Minch are my final authorities on this stuff. We think it's a Walter Gibson trick, and Max says, go to the Jinx 1940, January 1940, in double reverse. And I'll show you what I added to it, but first just let me do the trick the way I used to do it. So, give the cards a bit of a mix here. And I'm going to give you half the cards, Ty. Take the cards, spread them so you see lots of cards. Take out a card you like and put it right down on the table right there. Okay, take your cards and hold them by the top like this. Perfect. Take your card and insert it into the center of my half. Perfect. And I'll take my card and insert it into the center of your half. Push it in, put the cards right there. I picked the ace of spades. What did you pick?
9 of clubs.
The dramatic moment. Well, you like that better? I don't know. I mean, no. Anyway. Look, my friend, 2 cards have reversed. My ace of spades and your 9 of clubs. Okay, so that's double reverse, and that's the way I used to do it with the slap and the gravitas. This was set up, and I'll show you how I set it up, and then I'll show you how I do it impromptu in the middle of the show also. If I'm going to do it in advance, my card's going to be the ace of spades because it's likely I would pick the ace of spades. So we begin with the ace of spades reversed on the bottom of the deck. And now we're going to do an Al Baker strategy, which is adding an X card to cover this. So now when I take the deck out of the case with a slight block push-off, that is pushing a group of cards together, I can show him all these cards, see? Because I'm hiding my reverse card right there. And then to get rid of this card, I say, let me give the deck a bit of a mix. That's important. If I say shuffle, you have an expectation of what's going to follow. If I say mix, I can do anything I want and it works. And in the mix, what happens is I take off the top and the bottom card together and do over, rest of the cards go back on the bottom. So now I end up with an ace of spades reversed on the bottom of the deck. Okay, and I give Ty the top half. Now here's the deal. Ty has no idea what we're going to do. And so I'm going to stay so far ahead of him, as you'll see. I say, okay, take your card. Now I have to do a block push off here because I can't do that. No. I do a little block push off. And I say, take your cards and spread them. And just take a card you like and put it face down on the table. Watch me, don't watch him. I just reversed the deck. I'm here, right? Take out my card, and he's doing that. I'm over there watching him. That's the first reversal. It is not a move, it's just lowering my hand. Now we regrip the cards. Take your card and stick it in the center of my half. Great, and now I pull away because I'm going to do the same thing to him. Now I look at this card as if I wanted to remember it. In the theater, this is called verisimilitude, making it look like reality. So I just do a little look, and now I put my card in his, and now I leave it halfway out. So now he has to push it in, and watch what I'm going to do now. And push it, and then take your card and put it right there. So, because look how easy this is, because I'm holding it by the long sides, and I just do that, pointing. So it's, and put the cards right there, and this goes on top, and we're done. It's over. Except for the spirits. You see, my friend, there are people who believe that there are spirits in every room capable of doing the weirdest things. This will be the spirit's cabinet, and you can see the cabinet is empty. The deck goes into the center. Spirits, find my card. It's the ace of spades. Find it. Remove it from the deck now. Turn it over. What was your card?
Queen of clubs.
Spirits, find the Queen of Clubs. Remove it from the deck. Turn it over. Look. 2 cards have turned over. My ace of spades and your Queen of Clubs. So what I did, to this trick, what I did to it. Well, yeah, because, the first book that I ever wrote was Spirit Theater. It wasn't published for a long time because different publishers had it, and they all said, this will never sell. And then Jim Steinmeier said it was a modern classic, so it did sell. It's in its 5th printing, I think, now. But I love spirits and ghosts. I've always liked ghosts. See, everything I learned about acting, and this isn't a joke, I learned from watching Bela Lugosi movies as a kid. That's what I learned about acting. I never took a course or anything. So I like weird stuff, and this gives my magic not only a kind of flavor, but it just makes it a little different than what you see normally. And so this ghost stuff, spirit stuff, and now it's interesting with so-called religious people that a lot of them freak out on the word spirit, but ghost is okay. I don't know why, but there it is. So this is, what I've done is just taken a card trick and added Glorpy to give the card trick a visual dimension that didn't have. Well, it had a visual dimension, but it wasn't a subtle, lovely visual connection, So, okay, how would I do this? Shuffle the cards with a shuffle deck in the middle of the show. Well, if you were to read Hatton and Platt in 1912, you would find a rather clever way of doing this. You take the deck and you put it face up on your hand. I'm going to have to do this sideways so you can see it. And you put it kind of down. You drop one card, and you come here and just turn it over. And now I see the Queen of Hearts is on the bottom. And from the front, that looks really pretty deceptive. Look at it. And so that's how I would do it if I were going to do it in the middle of the show. With a, and now I know the bottom card. My first job doing magic was at a very nice restaurant in Chicago on Oak Street. And I was performing for 2 guys. And at the end of the show, one of them said, I invented one of the tricks you did tonight. And I said, really? He said, yes, Glorpy. I said, really? He said, oh, yeah, and it was Bernie Trueblood. He and Bill Madden created Glorpy. They were college students, as Bill later explained to me. And so I got to perform this for the creator. And then I would have black ones made because, I don't know, first of all, I never had 24 inches on a table that I could command. And I wanted something smaller, and I didn't want to go paisley. I mean, that was like stepping out of the 60s, which isn't a bad idea, mind you. But so I wanted black, and magicians would say to me, oh, where do you get a black one of those? And I said, well, I haven't made. Well, do you sell them? No. And so many people asked that I tracked down Bill Madden, the other inventor, because I didn't know where Bernie Trueblood was. And I knew that Bill Madden was in the Bay Area and that someone I knew him. So I called him up, told him who I was, and I said, I use Glorpy a lot, and I'd like to sell it. I would never advertise it, but just sell it to magicians who wanted to who came to my lectures. And he said, you're the first person who ever asked. Mm-hmm. He said, we were 2 college kids with a great idea. but we didn't have distribution. The magic dealers had distribution. We were out of business in 6 months. And this trick is everywhere. And I was the only person that ever asked. And that made me extremely happy and really sad at the same time, if you get what I'm saying. How sad that everyone just took it. So there you are.
So the question is,
So the question is,
I know I bought one from you years ago.
Yeah,
About
see?
15 years ago now.
Oh.
Are they still available from you?
yeah.
And is that technically advertising?
I don't know. Yeah, Glorpy's cool. I remember I was one time I was working the Magic Castle. I did the card trick, and this is in the days I was smoking cigarettes. It was at least 10 years ago, more than that probably. And the lady who was with me at the table, I was leaving the building, and she walked over to me and said, "I have to tell you that one trick you did just made the hair on the back of my neck stand up." And I said, "Which one?" And she said, "Well, when the cards moved under the scarf." And I thought to myself, that wasn't the hardest trick I did. Because I was back in that mentality too then, you know, that difficult is better. No, difficult isn't better necessarily. Difficult might be worse, in fact, particularly if you flash.
Can you show the cop in the reversal one more time?
Sure.
Somebody's asking for clarification.
This
They
is
missed it
face
the
up
first
on
time.
my hand. Come in a little bit closer if you can. Yeah. And I'll come to this. See, I'm in this position. Now, you don't see much of anything except this, you know. And now, I just come from the front, I just turn this over. And that looks like this from the side. And it happens very quickly, you know, so that you have to kind of King of Hearts. It's a good reversal. Yes, sir.
Looks great.
Do you mind if I go back a question to
Sure.
out of the world, out of the
Sure.
world?
You get a mic on him?
Yeah.
Hold on one moment. There we go. Perfect.
Hey, if we could go back
Sure.
real quick to your out of this world presentation. Do you think it loses any impact doing that instant turnover instead of maybe more classic where they're turning a card over one at a time for the reveal? Just what do you think? Roll on that.
I think if you were really doing it, if you were really doing what you say you're doing, you would just turn the cards over. Because what Curry had was this, and this was pretty grim in its own way. Because now you have one reverse and one here, and you would what he would do is he would have you pick up that half, and now we would look, and we have two reverse cards. You would get a break, and now you would start dealing cards. He would have to do a secret cut. Yeah, it's all gone now. That none of that's there. No, I think that if you were doing it really, you would just turn the cards over. You wouldn't pick them up and do it one at a time. I saw this. Well, I was in Canada years ago, and Kreskin was on a noon talk show, and he did this with 3 mistakes that he predicted in advance in an envelope. So he gives the guy an envelope, and it said, "You will have 3 black cards wrong." Just another thought on that. Any other questions on that or the next one?
We're good here. Oh, wait. Something just came in. Oh, they say, "Thank you very much. Now we could see." That was the new message.
Good, being able to see. Okay, now we're going to turn to spirit messages. Oh, yes. And let's start with Carl Germain. And do you believe in spirits?
No.
Perfect. I know a way that we can actually communicate with the spirits. Sometimes that gets a laugh, and I have no idea why. So, pick up the one you want to use. Look at it, check it out, rub it, and then crush it up into a little ball about this size, and put it right there. Now, of course, the spirits have no material, so we must provide the material for them. I'm going to have you hold this in a weird way. Hold your hand out, and you're going to hold this right back by your lifeline. Okay? Yeah. And I'm going to touch it with the pen. Close your hand over all of it. Now, in a moment, the pen will begin to vibrate. And that means that my spirit guide, Miss Manton, is here talking to us. Miss Manton used to be my 8th grade teacher until one day while directing the Star-Spangled Banner, she fell off the stage backwards and immediately entered the spirit world. But Miss Manton has been with me for years and she gives messages. Do you feel anything happening over there?
Not yet.
Ye of little faith. Well, let's see what's going on. Take the pen out, open the piece of paper, unroll it, and let's see if they have anything to say to you. There's something written on it. I can see it from here. And it says,
Tonight's the night.
ooh, that's a good one. The spirits have spoken. So that's the germane way of doing it, which is a sleight of hand method. It's very clever. In fact, it sets up something that's surprising, as you'll see. Okay. First of all, let's look at this folder. Come very close here, and we're going to see what's going on. First of all, I have a piece of file card that I have punched holes in. And then I put a piece of double stick tape on the back of it. So I can now stick this right here. And each of the holes hold a message. This one is HB. This is my happy birthday message. TT, tonight's the night message. And this one, S, I'm not even sure what that is. Okay. So we'll see. Oh, I can find out. I can tell you what it is. It's right here probably. Right?
So secret you have to look.
It says, happy birthday. Oh, that's the happy birthday one. Okay. Okay, can we try one more? Sure. I'm in charge. Oh, this is a big surprise soon. Ooh, exciting. Now, what's going on here? I used to have a happy anniversary one too. Well, look, when you work restaurants, you run into anniversaries and birthdays and whatnot, and so why not have messages that say that? And by having this little system here, I can pick a message for the person directly. And that's very handy. In the old days, I mean, the message is to make the spirits wish you a happy birthday. I think that's the message. Okay, so while I take these out, and now I say, pick one up, and now I steal my ball and hold it like I was doing the torn and restored cigarette paper. And to hide the fact that I'm holding this, I pick up the pen, which is why people used to have magic wands, to hide things they were holding in their hands. And now I say to Ty, take it. Now I'm going to model what I want him to do. Now, this time, don't roll yours really loosely so it's much bigger than mine, and I'll show you what I do if that happens. Because I'm modeling for him. Just long pause. Mine's a lot tidier than yours.
Sorry.
And that way I get it the way I want it. So here's what's going to happen. I'm holding this between my first and second finger. As I move toward the ball, I transfer this between my thumb and first finger, and I pick up this ball with my thumb and second finger, and immediately deposit the other ball on the palm of my hand as I roll this down to here, and now I can separate these fingers more. So let me just do that again for you in real time. I'm here, and I say to him, hold your hand out, and put this right there. Now, here's the interest. This is the part that kills me. I put it back on the table. So his physical memory is picking this up off the table. And the number of people who have said to me over the years, you never touched it. Now, why did they say that when I completely blatantly did touch it? Because I touched it for a reason. to show him where his lifeline was, see? And because of that, I think a lot of people, that's what prompts them to say, or to perceive this as you never touched it, when in fact I did. So it's like this. I'm here, and it's, hold it right here by your lifeline. And now he picks it up. I don't know which got the message. Now we've been messing around. And now I put it here, close your hand. And I talk about Miss Manton, who really did fall off the stage backwards. It wasn't the Star Spangled Banner. I don't remember what it was, because I wasn't there. But this was after I left. But I just thought that she should be memorialized in this little magic trick.
Did she immediately enter the spirit world?
I don't think so. I think she might have just broken an arm or something.
The question was, did she immediately enter the spirit world?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and no, we don't think so. Are there any questions on that? This is a great spirit. Now, let me talk about Germain. Germain, this completely amazes me. He would put this here with 2 rubber bands, and with this in his lap, he could duplicate the signatures of Lincoln and Thomas Edison. So that if you were to take this, his signature to a real signature of Edison, the similarity would be freaky. And he learned to do that, to duplicate that, either with this thing in his pocket, work with his pencil, or in his lap. And I mean, I'll tell you, I'm just in awe of that. But rather than bemoan talents I don't have, let's work with talents I do have. So I don't let that bother me. But I have to just tell you how amazing that was, because look, back when Germain was around, 1908, if you said, name a famous person that everyone knows, the likelihood that you would get Lincoln or Edison was so strong. Years ago, Peter Pitt and I were on an airplane, and we were talking about range forces and presidents. Now, this was, when Peter was alive, so we haven't had a lot of presidents since. But he was of the opinion that you could really count on 6 presidents, really. I mean, you weren't going to get John Tyler, or Millard Fillmore. No, you're going to get Lincoln, Washington, Jefferson, and then whoever the current one is and the one before that. And he had some tricks that he would use that principle with. So this is the first of the spirit messages that I learned. It's the most difficult. I think most of the stuff I've shown you tonight proves my point that there's fabulous magic at every skill level. Because so far we haven't had a lot of skill required, in digital skill of sleight of hand. I work on strategies more in theatrical moments. But let's see if we can't find a simpler method. Oh, we can. It's right here. Oh, let me find the right stuff. Do that in a minute. Here. Whoops, crash. Take the paper, check it out. And also I have this. Check it out. And hold your palm up. Spirits, give us a message. Open it up.
Rather difficult to open. Not pairing.
Life is full of problems.
Every miracle has its price.
Every miracle has its price. I'll tell you what it says, because I remember this one. I just wrote it.
An old friend will reappear.
Isn't that a positive message?
Depends on the friend.
Okay, I have John Bannon, my friend John Bannon, to thank for this. John's a really good magician. And interestingly, he doesn't agree with me at all. He doesn't think that you need a presentation. Huh? He just thinks you can do card tricks and that they're interesting to people. And I suppose they are to certain people, but I'm not sure you could make a living with that attitude. I think you can be a good magician with that attitude, but I'm not sure you can make a living. So here's the deal. This is rolled up in a little ball. Now, typically when I do this and doing it over and over again, all right, let me just show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to confine my message to a certain area. Let me show you what it is. Okay. See this? That's going to be the area of the message on the paper. So that when I crush this up, I can get the message in the center and only white paper showing. Got it? So that he doesn't flash that there's writing on here. All right. As this is usually with this in my box. So as I take this out, I get this between these two fingers. And now, I have to tell you about this. This is not what it appears to be, is it? No. What I did was I got a pack of zigzag papers, and with a knife, I opened them up and took out all the paper up here. Then I bought some flash paper and cut it down to the size of zigzag paper, zigzag folded it, and put it back where the original flash paper was, and then resealed this. So this is all flash paper on the top, and it's all regular paper on the bottom. Now, I take out, with this one, I only take out one paper because there's nothing to model. And I have given this paper to people who smoke using it. They have not identified or said, this isn't zigzag paper. I've never had anyone say that. I just say, check it out, and there's no, there's no gummed edge even on this, so, but it's kind of interesting. And now we have an interesting fact of audience management. He's checked this out. We're done with it. So I take it, his hand going down, and give him something much more exotic to look at. As I take this and just squeeze the paper in the middle of the ball, a flash paper. We're done. See, John did this as the torn and restored cigarette paper, and I immediately saw the spirit messages. Okay, so now we come here, and we drop that there, and when we light it, the flash paper burns, leaving the original thing, and there it is, and the messages an old friend will reappear. Much simpler to do. Now, we're going to go into this little detail because this is so hot when you think about it in so many ways. A couple of years ago, Jeff and Abby were doing a corporate party in Las Vegas. And Abby said to me, I have to do something, but I don't know what to do. I said, I have a great idea for you. I've got 35 spirit messages, which I'm going to share with you before we end. And here's what you do. You dress really exotically, and we'll get a clear fishbowl, and we'll take these messages and write them on strips of paper, and then we'll attach them to sticks and roll them like flags. And now we'll stick them in this bowl into something like some clay or something at the bottom to stick it. And now you just walk around this party looking fabulous and say things like, would you like to choose your future? And that's what she did for 2 hours. And of course, what I do when I do this is I say, now you have to understand, I have no control over the message the spirits are going to give you. Because I don't. I have 35 messages in my pocket. They're all different. I just grab one. So I have absolutely no power over what the spirits will tell you. It is up to them. But let's look at some of these messages. I think one of the best books I ever read in mentalism was Robert Nelson's book, Projected Answers. The idea was that if you were doing a question answering act, an answer that projects into the future is something that the audience member can't deny. So I have 35 messages here, all of which are future-based. And let me read them to you, because you'll want to do this. Tonight's the night. A trip across water. Never tell a secret. A surprise awaits you. Something special next Thursday. 2015 will be your best year yet. Check your zipper. Well, that was a fortune cookie I got in Champagne. Check your zipper. And so I used it for years. I have no pride sometimes. A surprise. A surprise next Sunday. Oh, here's one. The second week of November. January brings surprises for you. Oh, here's an Alan Watts one. Remember to forget it. So good. That is a good one, isn't it? He had another one that I've lived by, which was, when you get the message, hang up the phone. I had a friend who, I've been a best man twice, and both have gotten divorced, so I think I'm a jinxed best man. I don't do that anymore. So one of my friends that I was best man for, 2 weeks later he got divorced. I said, what's going on? He said, well, you were the one that kind of gave me the clue. He said, she pulled a knife on me. And you said, when you get the message, hang up the phone. I got the message. I'm out of here. Okay. A letter received will make a difference. An opportunity will soon appear. A friend needs your help. Something will be found. Listen to a friend. Consider the choice carefully. Assume nothing. Don't jump to conclusions. You are not the target. That was a book by Aldous Huxley's second wife, Laura, which is still in print and is a great book. It saved me in Restaurant Magic. The point of it is that when people freak out at you, it's not always about you. You know, their kids are on drugs, the boss is down on their back, their wife is unfaithful, and you just happen to be the person that they're letting off steam with. And that's one thing that really made Restaurant Magic work for me. In fact, I was living with some friends at that time, and Linda was working as a waitress. She was in nursing school, and she said to me there was one night that she just almost lost it. She was almost in tears, and then she remembered, you are not the target. Yeah, it's good. Don't be hasty. Listen to your heart. Trust your intuition. Consider both sides. Use your personal magic. Allow yourself to be powerful. More money is coming. That's a good one. An exciting voyage. Unexpected travel. You will soon be a light to others. An unplanned flight. The project will be a success. You will soon be congratulated. Expect a real surprise, and an old friend will reappear. So my game is to write these all out on papers and have them all in my pocket, 35 messages. And I just reach in my pocket and grab one and say to the person, now I have absolutely no control over what message the spirits are going to give you. And I don't, it's an honest thing to say. But all these messages are about the future. And so the person that gets them can never say, well, that's not right. No. We're not at January yet, folks. So, yeah, and that is something I picked up from Robert Nelson, who used to have that great magic shop right here in Columbus. So, you can do it as a magic trick, but you can also do it as, as Abby did it. Just hire someone to, if you're going to do a party, hire someone who looks fabulous, can walk around by the future. Because I'll tell you, she said that she really got a good response from this. People liked it. You know, picking the future from a beautiful woman, all that. Cool. Okay, one more.
Quick question.
Yes, a quick question.
Somebody asked for clarification. What are zigzag papers? They've never heard of them before. Is it from a magic? Is it a magic prop or something that you have specifically in the U.S.?
Zigzag is a universal brand of cigarette paper, and you can buy them at cigarette stores, cigar stores, whatever. I like Zigzag for this because it's a double pack, and so I can take out a real one or a flash paper one, see, and that's kind of fun. And no one thinks flash paper is going to come out of a cigarette pack. I mean, people just don't go there, so that's kind
There's
of
actually 2 compartments in there.
yeah.
I'm glad we asked.
Yes. Yes. Well, this is the final one, and spirit message, and this is probably my favorite, and we'll talk a little bit about it in a minute. So, the spirit cabinet, and you can see that the cabinet is empty. The ends are folded to the center, leaving one end open. This is the doorway to the spirit world. Ooh. 2 crayons, one is blue and one is black. Excuse me. We will use them to contact the spirits. But you decide. Shall we use the blue one or the black one?
The blue.
Take it. And write your initials here, one here and one there. I'll hold it steady for you. Go. T-A. Nicely done. Also, write your initial on that side. T-A. Keeping the same initials. A nice touch. Now, the card you've initialed goes into the spirit cabinet, along with the crayon you selected, and the doorway is closed. And now it is time to contact the spirits. Spirits, pick up the crayon. Pick up the crayon and write. Not bad for an old man. Down! But look, the spirits have written a message. Why, it's the same one you got a minute ago. It must be the same. Yeah. The spirits say, tonight's the night. Now, what I like about this is that I can perform this in a whole wide range of moods. I can be perfectly serious, and then I leave off not bad for an old man and down, right? I can play this. In fact, I have. Years ago, I was hired by Parade Magazine to do their Halloween party, which they were doing on a ship on Lake Michigan. And the game was I was going to do 12 15-minute seances for 13 people per seance. And this is the only trick I did. And I had one lady helper, and she was in charge of the door. And I played this really seriously. There was no tongue-in-cheek. There was no sense of humor. It was all about contacting the spirits, and it freaked some people out. They were like, oh. Yeah, but that was what I was supposed to do. That's what they wanted me to do. It was be real scary. So what I like about this one is that you have this range of, I can be serious, I can be tongue-in-cheek, I can just be comic. I can go any range I want, and I can just pick the range for the audience I'm working for, which I do. I mean, I have a lot of routines where I can change a line or two depending on who the audience is. So we go back to Glorpy, and as I do this one, I set it up. Now, one of the things, I bought Glorpies all my life, and I'm a Glorpy addict, I guess. And no one ever tells you how to fold this thing in the instructions. Well, let me show you how to fold this, okay? All right, here's the wire. This is the long one, that's the short one. The long was on top. And when this is folded, this is at the back. See, here's my game. I believe that thinking kills magic. When the audience sees that I'm thinking, there ain't no more magic. It's just something else. So when I put this in my box, it's always put in the same orientation. This is always at the top. This is what I call precision in handling my props.
For those people who don't know what Glorpy is, because there are folks out there that don't know, can you explain exactly what you're talking about in the corner of the handkerchief? Silly question, perhaps, but there are people out there that have no idea or have never used a Glorpy before, or a Hiram's Haunted Hank. You're twitching. I know.
Oh, you noticed. Yes, Glorpy was an invention of Bill Madden and Bernie Trueblood, Mad Blood Enterprises, a short-lived operation. And it was basically taking a handkerchief and inserting wire in the hem and then giving this a little twist so that when I press on this, the wire pops up, and that's Glorpy. Now, how do you fold it? Well, again, I want precision in handling my props, the same way I want precision in what I'm going to say to an audience, see? So here, I just know that the minute I pick it up, that's it. I'm in position, no thinking necessary. And now that's the gimmick corner. That gets folded first, then this one, and then this one. Now what they don't tell you is you have to give this a quarter turn. See? And then, now what I do is I put my hand here, because now I feel exactly where the wire is, where the corner is. And now I fold it right over, and I'm going to use this finger, not my thumb, because Jeff learned to do it using his thumb. And when he saw what I was doing, he liked it better. So now that finger, now the other thing we could do is fun is you guys put your hands lightly on it too, very lightly, okay? Very lightly. Come a little closer. No. Yeah, just very light. Okay. See, that's with people touching it too, which is kind of impressive also, see? Okay, so now that's the first part, and the other part is called out to lunch. Out to lunch. Where did out to lunch come from? Well, T.A. Waters said Edward Bagshaw, and that's what everybody says, Edward Bagshaw. But Max does not think so. So I'm going to write this tonight. Now, where can you get messages if you don't like these ones I've been giving you? 2 places. 1, fortune cookies. That's where I got check your zipper. Another place is newspaper astrology columns. Those are 2 good sources for messages. Now, notice I'm doing this differently than you might have seen it. I'm not giving him very much room to write his initials because I want more room for the message. And what we've got here is this, of course. And that's, if he had taken black, that would have been the black side. And I know it's the black side because of that dot right there. But he picked blue, so blue it is, and that goes on the blue side. And this goes here, and now I need a really wide rubber band. And this is, of course, the real secret. Where do you get these? Broccoli, yes. Asparagus, yes.
Exactly.
Eat your vegetables. Okay, so now that hides that. And I, of course, again, precision in handling my props. This is always black side up. I don't have to think then, see? So, okay, so he gets to write his initials there, and now I show it, and I hold it like this. He's written it, so sorry. Right. So now what I do is just simply, from the side, I just take, where are we? Let's go. Backwards. Yeah, thank you, Eugene, okay. So I'm here, and it's that. And I just put it down. So he, first of all, he being Ty, okay. Uh-huh. So, okay. So Ty would write his initials, say here for the blue side. I would just simply pick this up and say, and also write your initials on this side. And of course the line, keeping the same initials, would be completely taken out if I were doing this seriously. There would be no jokes at all, because we're doing it as a seance. And this is the payoff. And it's a little souvenir for you. And so where did this come from? Well, Max thinks, and this is kind of interesting, that there was a 17th century card switch that was kind of based on this. But in the 19th century, there was the interrupted spirit flap, which was a flap that was cut out, and you put a chalk line to mask the corner, and then they signed this. And they were actually signing below the flap, so once the flap was dropped, their signature was on the message slate. And Max thinks that that's a forerunner, but that the real conclusive one was the Sphinx for 1923, which was William Larson Sr., who had a trick called fingerprints that was based on this. So that's where Max thinks this all came from. And I would be happy to agree with him. Any questions on this?
There are none.
Perfect. Any questions here?
Color choice.
Thank you. Black and blue. Not everyone gets a tie. Thank you. Well, let me just end by saying something honest here. As I said, I think we're all here for the same reason. We want our magic to have more power. We want it to have more impact on our audiences. And how are we going to do it? Well, one way is to have a script. The script doesn't need to be complicated. It just means that you know exactly what you're going to say, whether it's exposition or whether it's a story or whatever it's what it is. A trick to be given meaning, as I hope I've shown you, does not need to have the meaning in the trick. It can be in the setup. For instance, let me give you some setups that are universal. People, as a magician, people often ask me, what is the most difficult trick you've ever tried to learn? Let me show you. Done. As a magician, people say, what is it about magic that keeps you interested in it? Well, let me show you a piece of magic to illustrate that point. So there are all these little questions that I can use to give my performance what? Some sense of value, importance. The hardest audiences to perform for our friends and family. They're the worst. Mine too. Why? Well, I think there's a lot of reasons. One of the reasons is that our friends and our family put us in boxes, and they don't want us to step out of them. Whereas when I perform for strangers, I can be anybody I want. Whereas when I perform for my friends and family, if I start being a little weird, they're going to call me on it. Thank you. That's one of the things, The other thing is that our friends and family seem to think they have the right to interrupt us, don't they? And, sometimes I tell them how I want them to behave. Why not? As in, folks, there are two ways to watch a magic show. One way is to try to figure the tricks out, and that's fun. But another way to watch a magic show is just to watch it like a child, to watch it for the sheer wonder of what's going on. And then maybe later on the way home, you can try to figure it out when I'm not there. I don't add that, but there it is. And so I've just basically told you how to behave. Will it work? Sometimes, not always. With friends and family, nothing's guaranteed. So my theory on friends and family is that if I'm going to do a friends and family show that I'm not going to get paid for, it's going to be 1 trick, 2 tricks, or 3 tricks, and that's all it's going to be. Because with the 1 trick show, I can say, well, I go to a lot of dinner parties from friends that are not magicians, and I have to sing for my supper. And that's okay because I love performing. A major restaurateur is a friend of mine in Chicago, invited me to his very intimate 14-person New Year's Eve party. And he called me up, and before he could say anything, I said to him, oh, by the way, Randy, Robert Charles is going to come to your party and Bill Cook, and we could put a little magic show together if you want. I mean, don't feel like you have to say yes. And he said, well, that's what I was calling you about. I said, well, yeah, it's on, done. Please do 5 minutes. So in that setting, if I can say to my friends and family, well, I do have 1 piece of magic to share with you tonight, I'm not going to lose attention. The 2 trick show, fast opening, I have 1 more piece of magic to share with you tonight. The 3 trick show, fast opening, longer middle, I have 1 final piece of magic. Now, why am I saying that? Because there are people at this table who are thinking, how long is this going to go on? They are not as enchanted by magic as Randy and I are, and Bill Cook and Robert Charles. We're all quite enamored with magic, see? But not everybody is. And so this be able to say, I have 1 more to show you. Now you know the parameters. Now, I had a magic student, psychiatrist, who didn't perform for patients. Although if you read the mystery school book, Jay Ingley has a wonderful essay. He's a family therapist, using magic in family therapy as a metaphor. It's fascinating stuff. It's in the mystery school book. So, no, I just lost my train of thought, but that's okay. Where were we?
3 trick show.
Who are you people?
Something about a 1-trick pony.
Oh, okay, back to the 1-trick pony. So anyway, one way to keep attention is to tell them when it's going to be over. So Richard, the psychiatrist, comes to it. We work out this, he's going to do a nurse's retirement party. And so we work out this great 3-trick show, and he comes to his next session. I say, Richard, how did it go? And he says, not very well. I said, Richard, what happened? He said, I added 2 tricks. And I, being a good teacher who wants to teach with truth and kindness, said, you deserve to fail then. But he did. He didn't understand the psychological point here, that you've got to keep attention. And one way to do it is let people know what the parameters of the performance are. See? Now here's the bottom line. If you want your magic to have more power, you have to treat it that way. If we were to put this as a little sentence you could put on your mirror and reflect on, the sentence would be, your audience will never think your magic has more importance than you think it has. Your audience will never think your magic has more value than you think it has. It begins and it ends with you. You establish whether this is valuable or whether it's trash, whether it's nonsense and stupid or whether it has some dignity. It's all about you. It's not about the trick. It's about how you're going to frame that trick. Look, an audience is not a lump. An audience can be manipulated. I mean, Jeff has a whole thing in magic school about how does he build applause? Well, the first step is he does it. And now he gets into a position. And now he only has to get into that position and they applaud. And now he has to only get into partially that position and they applaud, because what's going on? As Max would say, we're teaching the audience how to applaud. Because a lot of people, going to the magic show, this is their first time at a public show. They're used to yelling at the television set. And so they yell at the performer because they don't know how to be an audience. Because so many people never get a chance to be an audience. So you have to teach people how to be an audience. And the heart of this thing is that it does begin with me, and it does begin with you. I have to give my magic value. I have to treat it that way. Look, let's be very simple. Here's 2 pictures you can go for. Picture 1. Picture 1. Picture 2. Ever since I've been a little kid, I have been fascinated with playing cards. Think about it. Fortunes have been won and lost. Loves have come and gone on the turn of a single card. What's going on there? I'm trying to give these cards value. That has no value. Ever since I've been a little kid, I have been fascinated with playing cards. I'm trying to give these value. And that's the first step, isn't it? Having the audience think that what we're doing is important. Look, I'm working for corporations that are multi-million-dollar corporations. And the first illusion I have to create is that my card tricks are just as important as their corporation. Mm-hmm. And if I could create that illusion, I can triple my prices. And so can you. Why is magic in such low form? Because magicians treat it that way. If you want it to have value, give it value. You have to give it value. Okay, let's try this one out. I want to do a trick for my friend. I had a friend, Eric, who just died. Oh, he was a pain in the ass. I would do tricks for Eric, and he'd interrupt. He'd say, I see the card in your hand. And I'd do stupid lines like, well, maybe you should wait till I finish before you give me the critique. And he would say, it is finished. I see the card in your hand. And I hated him. And then I realized he was my best friend. He was a treasure because he told me the truth. And if you have a partner who tells you the truth, you have a treasure. Guard it carefully. Okay, I want to do a trick for my friend Eric. I'm going to give you 2 lines, and you tell, and my claim is these 2 lines will create different audiences. Line 1. Let me show you something I've been playing with for the last few days. Line 2. Let me show you something I've been working on for the last 6 months. Each line creates a different audience. If it's something I've been playing with, and that's a bad verb to get out of, like I never use the word trick in public. I only use the word trick with magicians. And, yeah. So, if I say this is something I'm playing with for a few days, what value could it possibly have? None. Probably. But on the other hand, if this is something I've been working on for 6 months, I'd like to see what you've been working on for 6 months. It creates a different audience. So my point is that an audience is not a lump. They can be manipulated. They can be taught. They can be brought along with us. And they can end up thinking, look, let me just finish up by saying this. When I first became a magician, I was terrified. I suddenly got this job in a really hot restaurant that was just opening. And all I knew, it was a job without a job description. all I could remember was watching these magicians when I was a kid in restaurants and bars. And so I kind of did what they did. And my biggest value, the highest value I had in those days, 1978, was I want you to like me. And I would do anything to make you like me. That's what I wanted. Pathetic. Anyway. And then, as I got more comfortable being a magician, my values fortunately grew. And then I got to the point where I wanted you to like me, but I also wanted you to respect me as a magician. And that made changes. In my close-up show particularly, I stopped closing on a comic note and started closing on a serious note, so that the last thing you saw was not a joke. It was a thread trick. And that was one way to flip audiences around, to not end it on comedy. But again, it all begins with us. We have to give our magic value, we have to give it importance, and then it will have importance. But again, your audience will never think your magic has more value or importance than you think it has, because it all begins and ends with us. Well, we've talked about a lot of tricks, and I think they're all good tricks. In fact, I know they are because I do them. And it's been a real pleasure for me to be here with you. I hope that I've given you something of value to take home with you that you can think about. And most of all, I really hope that our little session tonight has helped you become a better magical performer and to help your magic have more power and impact for your audiences. Thank you.
Come over here, Eugene. Wonderful, wonderful lecture. There are more questions.
Great.
Aren't there always more
Always
questions?
more questions. We love questions.
I wanted to delve more into scripting. I mean, you covered a lot there, but you covered more opening lines that we can take and use right away. But I'm also interested in that period at the end of the sentence that we brushed on very earlier on. But I'm also interested in how do you transition or build transitions from one piece to another, going from serious to comedy, from fun to dark? What is your approach?
Well, I don't know if I have an approach other than I'm willing to take those jumps. I think, first of all, I think any kind of performing requires courage. Standing up in front of a group of people and performing, whether you're singing, playing the guitar, or doing magic tricks, it requires courage. And to suddenly realize that most of the models you've had in magic have been bad models. I mean, most magicians are still doing Don Allen. What does that mean? That's the guy who's on top of it. He's completely on top of it. He's got a quippy line for everything you say, and it's all very clever. And that was fabulous for 1950. And now we're in a different century. And I don't think that quippy guy, look, let's imagine that you and I go out tonight to a bar, and we're sitting having a drink, and a friend of mine comes in. And I introduce you to my friend, and I go to the John, and you're left with my friend. And everything you say to this person is given a one-liner response. How long will it be until you are pulling your hair out, waiting for me to come back and save you from this totally superficial person? I think one of the problems of magic is that magicians are afraid to be vulnerable. And yet being vulnerable is to be human. We all want to be on top of it all the time. And that creates a character that isn't even appealing anymore. And yet that's the character most magicians are playing. That's the persona. It's Don Allen in the wrong century. It would be like coming out as Hofzinser and doing those long, complicated sentences. They don't work anymore. But does it work to be that superficial person that's always got a one-liner. See, I don't think so. I think that I want to have some moments that are vulnerable moments. I want to have some serious moments. I want to have some silly moments. The robot is silly. It's supposed to be. That's what I learned from Dolly Parton. You go to a Dolly Parton concert and what happens? She sings sad songs, happy songs, serious songs, silly songs, and you are flipping moods with her. She's putting you through emotional changes. Why doesn't the magic show do that? Well, because magicians aren't doing it. Someone has to start. It's like, in the old days, people would say to me, well, yeah, you could be a restaurant magician in Chicago, but it would never work in Cleveland, would never work in Tulsa, would never work in, yeah, but it will never work until someone does it. Then it'll work.
Isn't that the truth?
Isn't that the truth? So the answer to the question is, I don't have a one way to do these transitions, but I would, see, I think that really the key of magic shows is writing segues. And my major metaphysical belief in life is that you can write a segue for anything. That's my metaphysic. So it might be that the switch is, someone, as a magician, I ask lots of questions. Someone once asked me the question, what's the most serious trick you do? Well, let me show you.
Now I want to know.
And now I've got a simple transition into that mode. But your show's not going to have texture till you give it texture. That's the fact of it. It's up to us to do it.
And what tip do you have for us who don't have texture?
Well, get it. That your shows will be better if you have texture. That's my point. I mean, they really will. I mean, think of some of the shows you've seen that are just so boring.
Maybe not. There's so many.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a talk a couple of years ago at the convention in England, and I never prepared. It's really interesting because my lectures are never prepared, and my performances are totally prepared. But when I was teaching college back in the old days, I felt that my notes were a wall between my students and me. And that if I knew anything about this subject, which I was supposed to do being the teacher, then maybe I shouldn't have any notes. And that's when I would just began sitting on the desk and talking to students about our subject, which was Buddhism. Yeah, I mean, you have to make the changes.
Let's talk about applause cues and the period on the end of a sentence. When you add that last scripting line to the end of an effect, do you add it after the applause? Do you add it before the applause?
No.
Where does that period go for you?
In writing a script, my goal is to have the magic happen on the last sentence. Now, look at this. Excuse me, let me go get my Kleenex.
Just bring it over here.
Thank you, Patrick.
If you run out, we have the penguin.
Thank you. Well, I'm
Just use him wisely. Sorry.
I don't believe in cross-species
just gonna-
kissing.
Do that.
I don't. What?
We're just going to turn him that way.
Oh,
It freaks
okay.
me out a bit. Periods on the end of the sentence. You want it to happen at the end of the magic.
Because, what happened, look, it all depends on the context. If you're in a theater and you've got theatrical lighting, now you can do your magic trick, and now the spotlight comes really and does a tight shot on your face, and you do your coda, your thing, and then the lights black out, and that works perfectly. But it works perfectly because of the theatrical background of lighting.
Absolutely.
So if you don't have that, then I want the magic trick to happen and on the last sentence of the routine. I don't want to have to clean up afterward. I think that's a big mistake. And particularly when you look at mentalism, they are the worst offenders of this. And I go to my invention at least one day of it every year. It's a great convention. But you know, these guys, the trick happens and then they're talking and talking and talking. Stop! This is a magic show, you know?
Not everybody realizes that,
Right.
unfortunately.
So I would like the magic to happen in the last sentence, optimally.
Can we talk about character for a moment? Because I think a lot of these answers can be answered by knowing your character. Yeah. And as soon as you know your character, almost everything else sort of falls into place. The answers kind of just show up for us.
Yeah.
And
Larry
I find
Larry
that
Haas has
most
this great,
people don't think about character at all. They don't develop it. They think that they are the character. They don't realize they have to figure out who they are first. And a lot of us don't do that.
Yeah. See, what's my character? You want me to tell you what I think it is?
Yes, please.
Naughty Santa Claus. The best of both worlds. No, but I think that is my character, isn't it? I'm Naughty Santa Claus. Now in December, I cut my beard short, so cut down on the Santa jokes, which wear thin after a while. Yeah. Yes, Larry Haas, at the Magic School, Larry Haas just gives this brilliant lecture on character development that flips me out because he goes through all these magicians and you see what their character is, you know, and it's really interesting. Yeah, that's a big question. Who are you? Max says every performance should answer 3 questions. Who is this person? What story are they trying to tell me? Why should I care? Every performance should answer these 3 questions. Who is this person? What's the story they're trying to tell me? And why should I care? Interestingly, I think the easiest one to answer is the third. Because as I was trying to show you with that deck of cards, if I care, you will care. Or at least I have a good chance you will care. But if it's clear that I don't care, you're not going to care either. It all begins and ends with me, and all begins and ends with you. And you know, I think it's particularly, you know, for when you're young and your audiences are pretty much your friends only, it's hard to be a magician in that world. It was hard for me, and I'm sure it's hard for you younger guys here. It's not easy, but persevere, because it's going to get easier. And that's the good thing about magic. As you get older, this gets easier to do. You get more respect as you're older. I mean, I could never have commanded the attention that I get now when I was 20. When I was 27, I got tired of teaching at the university, so I decided to go to California and play hippies for a while. So I did for a year, and I was staying with some friends, and Leo would say to me, you know, you're doing this all wrong. You're getting a suit on looking for a job. This is San Francisco. You don't need a job. You need a scam. You should be a magician. And I was like, because at 27, I couldn't have done it personally. A lot of people do. Michael Carbonaro just jumped into mind because we do a show together a lot. And, you know, he's never had another job. Jeff has never had another job. Lance never had another job. But I think there are exceptions. That's why I tell people, particularly kids, get an education. You know, my little degree from Yale means I can walk into any room and not be intimidated by people. That's what it means. So it was money well spent by my parents. Yeah, it was. But basically, they didn't have to spend that much because I got scholarships and this and that, and I worked and so on. But no, you know, I mean, get an education. If you want to perform for educated people, you need to be educated. Wake up and get as much education as you can. because it makes you a more interesting person up here. So that's what I tell kids. But at the same time, it's hard to be a teenage magician. When you're 12, you're cute and everybody loves you. But by the time you're 16, 17, and 18, you're a pain in the butt. And now it's not so easy being a teenage magician. It's rough. But, persevere, because eventually the light will come and you will get to perform for strangers and you're going to love doing it because it's so much fun to perform for strangers because they're not going to interrupt you.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. Going back to scripting for a moment, and perhaps premise and character, I wanted to touch on disclaimers, because you have a lot of spooky things that you do, and you do a lot of spirit theater as well. Do you feel the need to put a disclaimer on that?
Absolutely not. Let me tell you an
That
example.
settles that.
Well, okay. I love going to haunted houses at Halloween. Let's start there. And some years ago, there was a great haunted house up in Glenview, done by the guys at the Glenview Naval Academy. Now, if you know anything about haunted houses, the game with a haunted house is to get space between the groups. Because if it's one long line, you're going to see too early what's coming to get you. So you want to have space between these groups so that everything is new for each group. And there's no foreshadowing. So the way they did this was, you were on your way into the maze, and there was a guy with a clipboard and a tie, and he stopped you, and he says, now, if you're afraid of snakes, maybe you shouldn't go in here. We borrowed some snakes from the Lincoln Park Zoo. Stop. What are you talking about? But of course, in the excitement of the moment, you don't go into rationality. We borrowed some snakes from the Lincoln Park Zoo as if this was a lending library of reptiles. It ain't. And so he says, and we borrowed some snakes from the Lincoln Park Zoo. They're not poisonous, but they got loose, and they are loose in the maze. So if you are afraid of snakes, maybe you shouldn't go in. Well, of course, we pushed the girls in the group to the front and went in. Now, the disclaimer for me, Patrick, would be, just as we're all giddy and excited going in, he would say, but of course the snakes are just rubber. No! No, no, no! I don't want the snakes to be just rubber. I want to get scared in the maze, right? That's the disclaimer. So, if for some moral, quasi-religious reason you feel you need to do a disclaimer, at least do it after the show and not before. Though I have to say, when Glenn Falkenstein would do this disclaimer at the Magic, I'd like to tell you that what we've done is not super. Glenn, this is the Magic Castle. Wake up. This isn't a seance hall. No, I'm not a big fan of disclaimers. I think that a show is a show. I played Hauntings, the spirit show, which got me out of my job and into magic full time. I played it as if it were real. But look, you walked into this room and you were given a program. You turned it over and there was a technical director. There's theatrical lighting all around the room. Hello, folks. Now, Susan Lucci does get hate mail from people who think her character is real. But that's just the way life is in America, No, don't do disclaimers. The idea of theater is to give people an experience. And you don't give people an experience by starting with a disclaimer.
Very good. May I counter-argue?
Sure.
My counter-argument is this: the disclaimers only matter when it's theatrically interesting. And then disclaimers are effective. But not for being a disclaimer, but for being interesting. And then this is what we can do after that. But I agree with you on every other count. And I'm getting a death stare from Naughty Santa. Let me explain what I mean.
Don't expect a lot of presents next year. There might be a few
I was wondering
less
about
than,
that this time.
than this year, Patrick. No, everybody has their own view. Look, and I can respect your view. I don't agree with it. Because I think that when I go into a theater, I'm going, Jeff says, and this is so great, Jeff says, there are two kinds of audiences. There are audiences that come to remember, and there are audiences that come to forget. A theater audience is there to remember. A comedy club audience is there to forget. There are thinking audiences and drinking audiences. See? So, I like the edge. That there are snakes in the maze, and I can get scared, and the adrenaline can rise, and it's exciting, and it's fun, and it's scary, and we're screaming and having a great time. Go for a pizza later, and everything's fun, But once you tell them the snakes are rubber up front, what's the point? What's the point? So, there we are. Next question.
I agree. Next question. About 15 years ago, when you came through Detroit, which is where I live, I went to one of your workshops, and you had mentioned then that Jeff McBride had suggested that you should do more stand-up, because at the time you were just doing close-up.
Yeah.
And you talked a lot about close-up magic and bar magic, but you haven't really touched on stand-up magic. Did you take his advice? Have you done that?
Yeah.
Do you do that in the corporate world? Can you talk about it?
Yeah. Well, for a long time, I really felt, Patrick, that I couldn't do stage magic. I didn't feel that I was strong enough as a performer to do this. And the three people that really worked on me to help me through this block were Phil Wilmarth, Max Maven, and Jeff. And Max and Jeff helped the most because they actually wrote shows for me to be in. And so there I was. I mean, Jeff put me in shows with them. I remember that we did a show in Atlantic City at a casino. And he says to me, and of course you'll open the show with the thread trick. And I said, Jeff, this is a casino showroom in Atlantic City. They're going to eat me alive. We can't open with Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. He said, don't worry, it's going to work perfectly. Well, what happens? Then he says later on, now before the show, we're all going to be in the audience doing magic. We're going to be our own opening act. And this is something that other places in Las Vegas are now doing, but Jeff was the first. There were 5 of us in our little company, Jeff, Abby, me, Bryce, and Jenny. And so each one of us was in the audience doing magic. And that means if I hit 5 tables, or 10 tables, which was easy, I was doing 2 tricks only. Max's positive negative, which we talked about with Jacob last night, and his trick wave, what people call B-wave, but that's not the name of the trick. Because Max is actually giving us a grammar lesson. If it were B-wave, it would be B-W-A-V-E. It's B', it's wave. That's the pronunciation. Wake up. So, okay. Anyway, so Jeff wrote me into a show. And because we were all in the audience, even just shaking hands, thanks for coming, how did you hear about the show, getting some data feedback for us. Then Abby went up and introduced me, and when I walked out, I wasn't a stranger, and it really was a fabulous opening for this show. And I didn't believe it, but Jeff and I have worked together now for almost 25 years. I think it'll be 25 years next year. We started doing these little mystery schools together back in the woods and all that. And, in all my work with him, no one has ever raised their voice at anybody. He and Abby are the most supportive people to work with. Jeff will always listen to me. And in the last analysis, I will always defer to his decision. It is his show, not mine. I'm in his show. He will always listen to me. And I will always defer to him because the show needs a leader, not a group of leaders. And we get along great. As I said, but there's never been an argument between us, ever, in 25 years. So I was very lucky. I had friends who pushed me into doing this. The first stage show I did, though, was with the Shakespeare Festival in LA in 1999. And they had an idea of doing a seance show with the ghost scenes from Shakespeare, and I would be the connector between them, introducing them and doing spooky magic. And they got for a director Tom O'Horgan, who had directed Hair on Broadway. And the first thing Tom did was he turned it into a musical. He said to me, "Do you sing?" And I said, "No, I can't even carry a tune." He said, "Great, we have something for you. You'll do it like Rex Harrison." What? So the show was so nuts. It worked in October, but it would have been a failure in May. It was just so goofy. The last scene was this great scene, and then I'm on the side, and I say, "And Shakespeare's spirit will be with us still." And now the ensemble breaks into a gospel song. Fool.
It was a different time.
It was a different time, but it was the best song in the show, and it was the song you were humming on the way out. But it was so goofy, see? And but Tom O'Horgan left me alone. He gave me no help at all. And now here I am. I've never done a stage show in my life. I'm just looking for guidance. Help me. And nothing from him. He's just, "You're the magician. You're great. Fine. Done." And Max, I bet Max came to 75% of the rehearsals and would just sit in the back and take notes. And afterward, we'd go out for coffee, and he would go through his notes with me. And we did this night after night. We had a month of rehearsals before this thing opened. And he was such a help, because I wasn't getting any notes from Tom. And Max would just sit me down, and he really helped. The same with Jeff. When we do shows, we all get together after the show. What are we going to change tomorrow? Let's change something tomorrow. What should we change? So I've been fortunate. Now, once I started doing stage magic, I really liked it. And so now I'm very comfortable on stage and enjoy doing it. I enjoy close-up magic more, but close-up magic is different. In close-up magic, first of all, I know your name. It's not just looking into the lights and seeing nothing. It's Ty and Jacob. I can touch them. I can make contact with them. Close-up magic is very different from stage magic. When I'm on stage, I'm looking at lights. I'm not even seeing the first row sometimes. Are they enjoying it? I don't know. I can't see their faces. See? So, I like performing on stage a lot, but I like performing close-up more because it's a more intimate, interactive kind of experience. But my hero when I was a kid was Donnie Allen. And so that was my role model. And I was lucky because unlike so many magicians I know, I had a good role model. At least, particularly in terms of the performance pieces. Now the persona, life changes, and some things that are good today are not so good tomorrow.
So in your close-up performances, you can touch people, you can connect with people. How do you personally translate and take that and use it on stage to bridge that gap?
Well, one of the things that Bob, when we were going to do this show in Atlantic City, Jeff brought Bob Fitch in. To work with us for a couple days. And Bob was great. I've been doing that thread trick since I was 16. And now at 60, Bob gives me insight into it that I never had before. But you have to be open and willing to listen. He asked me questions that were fabulous, like, "Well, when do you burn the thread?" "Well, I just burn it." "Well, maybe it would be stronger if you burned it at certain definable moments."
And that's how that started.
And that's how that started. Nice. When do you burn the thread? No one had ever asked me that question until Bob Fitch.
That's one of my favorite parts of that piece is each beat.
Yes, has a beat, right. But it wasn't like that in the old days.
Yeah.
I will tell the Jay Marshall story, even though it has a
please.
bad word in children, so be careful.
We'll do this.
Do this. Jay was one of my biggest supporters.
It's okay.
Because we don't want Mr. Penguin to hear. He got me booked sight unseen by Joe Stevens. Whenever magicians came to Chicago, he'd bring them in to see me. He was a big supporter of mine, and he absolutely hated the thread trick because I used to do it based on vampire-like teeth,
When you
and I
bite
bit
the
the
thread,
teeth, right? And you probably saw it in those days. And then magicians would say to me, well, how do you bite that thread? And I, not understanding the question, would say, well, you just bite it. And then after $2,500 worth of dental work, that little place in my mouth where I bit the thread was different, and I couldn't bite the thread anymore. And now I understood those questions. And so I stopped doing the trick. And then a year later, I said, this is one of your favorite tricks. You have to put it back in your repertoire. So you need a presentation that's not vampires. And now it just hit me like that. This is the only script I've ever had that wrote itself. And since I wrote it that first day, I only made one additional change of one sentence, adding one sentence. Now, it just came to me, but it came to me after 25 years of studying Asian philosophy. Let's talk. It didn't just come out of nowhere. I had been studying this stuff for years, and suddenly I saw destroy, create, sustain. Wow, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Let's make it about that. Great. Well, Jay hated it. He likes vampires, so he would embarrass me. And and his usual way of doing it would be, I'd be in the magic shop on a Saturday when it was crowded. And he'd come out and he'd say, Eugene, you've turned the thread trick into shit. I must have
fainted.
offended.
I'm
He
sorry.
fainted. I'm sorry. It used to be so clever, but you've just turned it. Now, if there was anyone on this planet that I most wanted to tap me on the head and say, good job, Eugene, it was Jay Marshall. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't going to happen on this trick. And then I learned a very important lesson. The lesson was, we have to follow our own light, no matter how dim it is. And I'll tell you, he was wrong and I was right. That version of the thread trick has taken me around the world. It's the first trick every TV producer in every country I've done television, which is 17 countries. Every one of them wants the thread trick first, and then they want the card warp inquisition second, and they want the world's fastest card trick third, because they can use that as a teaser before the commercials. And those are the three tricks I always do, because those are the always ones they want and ask for. So he wasn't right. The thread trick has taken me around the world, a spool of thread. And that shows us something, I think. It shows us that this inner quest that we all have, including me, for what's new, what's newest, what's newer than newest. Maybe that's the bullshit, folks. You don't need new. What you need is magic that's memorable. That's what you need. Magic that people will remember. And that's not just the magic, that's you too. Because it's your job to make the magic memorable. So, I learned a lot from Jay Marshall, I'll tell you, on both sides of the fence.
I miss Jay.
Oh, I do
I miss
too.
Jay.
Jay was a great person.
You've written about many times that we need really just 6 effects. But you mentioned that you have 33 in your repertoire. So I'm curious, how do you pick and choose from
Well,
your 33 effects that you have?
Every year I go through my
For your show.
notebook and I try to delete magic. And look, this is my repertoire. Oh, I'm down to 31. I'm even doing better. 31. But over here,
Everyone's now doing screen capture.
a lot of this is turned into teaching material. These are tricks I used to have in my repertoire that kind of fell out. Like one of my favorite tricks I haven't done in 15 years, the Bert Allerton aspirin box. It might be the greatest close-up trick of all time. But it's so small, you couldn't do it in the close-up room at the Magic Castle. You could only do it for 2 or 4 people. And you need a surface. It was great when I was working restaurants. I could do it all the time. But just working corporate parties where I'm working out of my pockets, I can't do that trick. And it's sad because it's a great piece of magic. And it's a memorable piece. I mean, the number of people who have said to me in Chicago, you know that trick you did where you take a picture of the card? I've still got that on my refrigerator at home. I've heard that from more people than you could believe. On the one hand, you say, that's really fabulous. That's kind of pathetic. Get a better refrigerator. I mean, but yeah, that's too cynical, obviously. Yeah.
So follow up.
Sure.
What were your 6 tricks then when you wrote about that?
Well,
and what are your
everyone asks me,
what are your
I'm
6
not-
tricks now?
I don't have, well, okay. Then, top change, maybe card warp, that might have come later, sponge balls, some of the Schulian stuff I was doing as a kid, corner in the glass, card under the tablecloth.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, mine too. Now, if I go to do a party, I would probably take 6 tricks and probably do 4 all night and just have the other 2 for my amusement if I get bored. I would take the haunted deck, the Mullica wallet, the top change, the dealing forces on the tray that you've seen me do, maybe paper hats, and I would take sponge balls, but not necessarily do them. It would have to be the right crowd.
That would be
But I'll
a
tell you,
special trick.
that's a trick with it. I can get screams with it. And so when you're doing a big party, like I did a party for 700 people 2 weeks ago, and God, I mean, you have this burst of screaming, and everyone looks, and it's like doing flash paper tricks that are in a party. Everyone looks and wants to know what's going on, and it's kind of like you're being your own advertisement. It's cool. So, yeah.
That answers that. So enough tricks. Let's stop talking about tricks for a moment, unless you want to. I would like to pause and talk about Matt Schulian for a moment.
Sure.
Because I'd love to hear more stories about that.
Never saw him. I saw him once on television as a kid, but I never saw him live. When I tuned into this, I was 16. I had been on the Don Allen show, and so that kind of brought me into the world of going to see him, and then I'd go, and then we kind of branched out. And in those days in Chicago, there was Jim Ryan, Johnny Paul, Crandall, what's his name at the one of the hotels, Don Allen, Lee Leroy, or Frank Everhart at the Ivanhoe. There were like 6 or 7 magic bars in the city. Interestingly, though, each one of these bars had a single star. It wasn't, the only one that had multiple magicians was New York Lounge, and that was all these guys doing the routine of Heba Haba Al, who was right there doing it too. Creepy. To have someone else doing your show while you're doing it. What's going on there? Schulian was really interesting. See, evidently, he would kind of lumber over to a table and start a show, and people would gather around and watch it. And the last piece in the show was his signature, the card on the wall. And I'll tell you, I love Michael, and I am a dear friend, but the Schulian trick was so much more fabulous than the card on the ceiling. It was a different trick. Here was the effect. You picked the card and you wrote your name on it, you shuffled it back in the deck. And now he gives you a thumbtack. and he holds the deck, and you stick the thumbtack into the side of the deck between the cards. And now he throws it against the wall, and your card is thumbtacked to the wall, your assigned card. All the other cards are all over the floor. The show is over. You've just seen the finale. And there's no going back because the cards are on the floor. And this show was almost all cards. So he had a sense of the dramatic. You know, this idea of tying a rubber band around the deck and throwing it on the ceiling. The question is there chewing gum holding the card on the ceiling? Matt's trick was different. You put a thumbtack in the side of the deck, he threw it against the wall, and your card was thumbtacked to the wall. It's not the same trick.
And it's easy to describe. It has
Yeah.
a story that is simple that you can tell to people.
And that's why, and you know, none of the sons would do the trick because it was their dad's trick. Even after he died, Charlie would never do that. Because he could have, because they were all the same trick. You know, card in the card in the glass, card in the matchbook. It was all card selected, stolen, palmed, torn, folded, shot into whatever you're going to do with it, and that was it. So they were all structurally identical.
Do you have a favorite? What is your favorite Matt Schulian effect? Because you've written. The reason I'm asking this for people who don't know.
I would say
you've written a lot about
Yeah,
Matt.
the corner in the glass where a card is selected and signed, and the deck is put on top of the glass. Now, what I changed from the way Schulians did it, the Schulians did it as a kind of comic piece. They'd put the deck on the glass, and then take a spoon and hit the glass until the corner, which was under the deck, was dislodged and fell. Whereas I turned it into the moment kind of trick with this kind of a thing.
And you made it more visual, so
yeah.
that the more people could see
Oh,
it.
yeah. And going very slowly and playing this little game with myself. How long can it take my hand to get from here to here? Could it take 30 seconds? That would be fabulous. So, you know, so I tried to make it into something really memorable. But that's my favorite Schulian trick, certainly. And then the card under the tablecloth. But that's a hard trick to do now because there aren't tables and tablecloths in a lot of places. Sure. But I'll tell you, whenever I see a tablecloth, I do that trick because I want to keep up with it. And that was the thing I miss, I think, the most about restaurant magic was that, you know, if I said to myself, gee, I haven't done 3-card Monte in 6 months, I could do it all night. And when I left that night, I was back in shape with it. See, that was great about restaurant magic. I like that part.
They keep you fresh. They really
Keeps you
do.
fresh and gives you a place to practice this stuff.
And
keep up on it. You know?
And hone it as well.
Yeah, and hone it.
Absolutely. So just a couple more questions, because I know you're not
Then
feeling
we
well.
can have food, huh?
My curse is not feeling well. Somebody cursed me back. That must be Harlan. He's
We will now
watching.
have-
He's watching.
Heal. Heal. Thank you.
Just a couple more things. Television magic today. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think what we're, you know,
Where
years
are
ago.
we at?
Okay, years ago, I wrote an essay, and I think, since I don't read my books, unfortunately, I guess, because people say to me, "Well, what book is this in?" And I don't know, because I don't read them. In that book, I wrote an essay called "The Two Magics."
I think this is Mastering the Art of Magic.
No, it's not. I think it's. I
was
think it's.
guessing.
Yeah, I think it's. Experience of Magic. I think is where it is. Anyway, it was called The Two Magics, and it was about theatrical magic and what I called, for lack of a better term, ceremonial magic. But I think what we're seeing today is something different. A third kind of magic is coming into being. And my first thought was not to like it. And then I kind of got hold of myself and said, no, this is interesting. Don't be so judgmental. What is this other magic? It's magic that can only be done on a screen. See, the magic I do is all in real time for real people who are alive right with me. But we're seeing a new kind of magic. Magic that can only be done on a screen. because you can't get into it, you can't get out of it. It requires certain situations. And this is a new kind of magic. And at first I really thought it was bad, but I don't think that anymore. I think it's interesting. It's cool. Now, can a person who is a star at magic on screen become a star with magic in real time in real life? I don't know. No one has yet. So if your goal in life is to support yourself as a magician, it might be that you want to be, although you might want to enjoy magic on screen, you might want to spend more time with magic in real time for real people, because that's where the work is. But I think it's interesting that we're seeing this whole new kind of magic develop, and it's different. It has different rules, different principles, different goals. Lance said something like, 2 million hits will make you popular on the internet, but it won't make you a star.
That's good insight. Here's a question that just came in, just to circle back, but I want to get to it to make sure we do this. How do you approach people during walk-arounds? I think we've covered that, though.
Well, I don't like fake approaches. Hi, did you lose a knife?
Yes, I have. Ha!
Or pretending you're the manager. No. I like being direct. Hi, I'm Eugene Berger, and I'm the entertainment here.
Absolutely.
What I used to do, and what I do at parties still sometimes, is, hi, I'm Eugene Berger. Would you like to see something absolutely amazing? Now, that presumes you can do something absolutely amazing. And I do the haunted deck. So I deliver on that promise. What was the question?
How you approach.
Well,
And you
in
invested
restaurant work, finally, as I was talking to Jacob last night, I had done restaurants for like 15 years when one day I asked myself a rather pertinent question, which was, what is it about this job that you absolutely hate? And the answer was right there. Walking up to people cold and trying to sell them a magic show.
Absolutely.
That's what I hate about restaurant magic, because what it is, if you do it that way, it's really indoor street magic. Think about it. It's you trying to sell a magic show to people that don't even know you're there. And that's what I hated about restaurant magic, going up to people cold and trying to sell them a magic show. And then I said to myself, well, why are you doing it that way? And the only answer I could come up with, honestly, was, well, that's the way the monkeys do it, and you're just another monkey. But I do not want to be a monkey or a penguin. I want to be a man. Yes. So I realized that, and then I had another insight. And then this was just maybe a fantasy insight. I said to myself, Jimmy Grippo at Caesar's Palace, he didn't just walk up to people and try to sell them a magic show. I mean, that room in those days, I think it was a $300 dinner, which is probably $900 today. This was the top restaurant at Caesar's in Las Vegas. I couldn't imagine that Jimmy Grippo just walked up to people. And so I said, well, how can I do this? And I got an idea. And I realized I had to quit my job to try it, because you couldn't change horses midstream. All the waiters were perfectly set on what was going on, and even the owner asking them to do something different wasn't going to work. So I changed restaurants. I got another restaurant job. And so doing the audition for this guy, this was a great restaurant because it was part of a theater complex. There was a theater on one side and this upscale restaurant on the other. And so I do my little audition for the owner, and he says, oh, you're really good. How do we do this? And I said, well, this place is much too expensive for me to walk up to tables like a mariachi. And he said, yeah, well, how do we do it? And I said, oh, it's very simple. After dinner, the waiter says to the party, By the way, we have an absolutely fabulous magician here tonight. And he'll come over to your table and do a little show for you if you like. Now, let's be real, folks. I can't walk up to a table and say, hi, I'm an absolutely fabulous magician. I mean, you'd be looking for the door. Does he have a knife? Is he armed? What's going on here? No. Now, as I said to Jacob last night, let's talk about this for just a minute. Having the waiter do it is not only better for the restaurant, it's better for the magician. Why is it better for the restaurant? Simple. We're having a business meeting, and I'm just about to get Patrick to sign the multi-million-dollar contract. He's got the pen in hand, and now this magician comes over and says, would you like to see a magic show? No, I want my contract signed. And Patrick says, I love magic. Let's see a magic show.
Catastrophic.
Am I going to take Kai into that restaurant again?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. So that is not the best deal for the restaurant, me walking up to the table. But now let's look at it from the other side. You've done restaurant magic, so you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. You look at a room of tables, and there'll be a table or two that completely intimidates you. Someone at that table, the look of them, there is no way in hell you're going to walk up to this table because this person is really intimidating you. And now the waiter walks up, and the very person that's most intimidating says, oh, I love magic, send him over. And it's the best restaurant it's the best table of the night, the biggest tip, and I wouldn't have even walked up to it. So, not doing the introduction myself is not only better for the restaurant, it's better for me. And so I changed it. Now, if you were to walk into the restaurant and I knew you or you had been there before, of course I would walk up to you and welcome you and shake hands and all that. But if you're a stranger, and then I moved to a lounge. Biggs was sold, and the guys that bought it were kind of would-be mafiosos that were just pathetic. And after a month of those guys, I was out of here. So I left, but they closed anyway for 6 months to redo the place. And I was on the street one day, and Peter, the owner of Biggs, walked by and said, hey, wait a minute, why don't you come and work for me? I'm going to buy the Zebra Lounge. I said, okay. So I went to this lounge, and if I were to go back to public performing, I would not do a restaurant, I would do a lounge. Much easier. People that come into a lounge are there to have fun. People that come into a restaurant might be talking about their divorce, they might be talking about the children, they might be talking about all these serious issues. Where people in a bar, it's very different. It's easy to approach them, you can just kind of psych them by visual, it's easy to walk up to them. And when I did that, the cocktail waitress would do the intro. Yeah. So that's the way I learned to do it, and that's how I did it for the last maybe 10 years, 15 years. Much better.
Sounds like a great approach.
Well, yeah, because it gave me a sense of a power, a position. I wasn't just this guy trying to pathetically ask you to, we'll
There's
watch
nothing worse
kind
than
of like
begging to show
right,
people
we'll
magic.
watch magic for food,
Yes.
What's going on here?
No good. If you can, we were talking before all this began today, and you were telling me about Don Allen gave you a line of advice.
Oh,
was,
yes. Oh, that was great.
Watch
yeah.
their faces.
Watch their faces.
Which you were disappointed with that
Oh,
answer.
yes. I want different answers.
So
to
here's
different
my
questions.
question. First, tell them that story. Then, what line of advice can you give us, or somebody just starting in magic, or somebody struggling to find their own in
Okay.
magic?
Both done.
And we'll close with that.
Perfect. What was the first part?
First part. Watch their faces. Don
Oh,
Allen.
watch their faces.
That story.
Well, as a 16-year-old magician, I had 2 million questions for this guy. And he'd always give me the same answer. Watch their faces. And it kind of pissed me off because I wanted different answers. But it was not to be. But later, when I thought about it, what a brilliant piece of advice. Is this trick going over? Do they like it? Is my show working? Are these people bored? Are they looking at their watches? Watch their faces. Don's point was, when you watch their faces will tell you everything. All your answers will be answered by watching their faces. And that was a hard thing to learn as a kid, but as I grew older, I understood the wisdom of it. So what would I say? Well, I'll tell you, I would say what I just said. Your magic will never have more value than you give it. It begins with you. It begins with me. If we want our magic to be fabulous, if we want to make a lot of money with it, if we want to support ourselves, then your magic has to be memorable. You have to be memorable. And that can happen. Because, I remember years ago I was doing a lecture on Long Island, and there was a kid sitting next to me, and he says to me, do you think a person could really make it as a magician? And I said, absolutely. One of the weirdest things about our society is that when these schools have job fairs, they've got doctors, lawyers, accountants, but they don't ever have anybody for entertainment present. And yet I love being an entertainer. As a triple Gemini, every week is different. I love it. I love having different weeks. I love being able to sleep until if I want to get up early, I'll get up early and watch Price is Right, and that's 10 o'clock in Chicago. And that's great. That's a wonderful lifestyle. Right now they're doing this construction job across the street from me. And I watch these guys, they get there like at 8:30 and they work till 3:30. It's hard work. Wow. I'm very lucky. But entertainment is a viable goal. It's a viable occupation. So I said to this kid, look, somebody's got to be a magician. Why not you? You could do it. Well, it was Rudy Kobe, and he did do it. He got a 4-minute act. It took him around the world. Fabulous. Someone's got to be a magician. Our society needs magicians. And it might be you. Why not? One of the things that magic teaches us is to get bigger dreams. Maybe the best thing we can say is our dreams are too small. We need to get bigger ones. And that's one of the messages of magic. Get bigger dreams.
Well, on behalf of everyone here, thank you for bringing us much value tonight. Thank you, Eugene. Thank you, everybody at home, and thank you for supporting live magic. I'm Patrick Redford. We'll see you next time.